only character variables, you can use, if you want to read only character variables, you can use underscore character underscore. If you want to read variables within a range, let's say you want to read from student name to teacher, in between student name and teacher, you wanted to read all the numeric variables, then you can use hyphen numeric hyphen, right? Instead of underscore numeric underscore, you have to use hyphen numeric hyphen. And if you want to read character variables within a range, we can read that using hyphen character hyphen. Let's say here student underscore name, and if I say hyphen character hyphen, and here let's say some fee. So in between these two, student name and fee variables, whatever character data we have, we can read that. And this student name and fee, it is inclusive, not exclusive. These two are also inclusive. If these two are character, then SAS will read these two characters as well. And if you want to read a specific, if you want to read a variable's information starts with a specific keyword, yes, we can do that in keep option. In keep, you can write keep some, let's say UST column. What does it mean? All the variables which starts with custom. All the variable names which starts with custom. And drop is used to drop the unwanted variables. Drop is used to drop the unwanted variable. Let's say you have 100 variables and you wanted to read 90 variables from this input data set. So instead of using keep and mentioning all the 90 variables, it's better to use drop option and drop the unwanted variables, right? And drop the unwanted variables. Let me share. So you know the syntaxes. So data output data set name. In the set, I need to write the input data set name and run. If I execute this, we read the data. SAS will read the data from the input data set and it will write it into this output data set. And while reading the data from the input data set, you try to control your variables using various options like keep, drop. Drop is used to drop the variables, right? If you want to, if you want to drop the unwanted variables while reading the input data set, then you can use drop option. And you can have a rename option. Rename option is used to change the name of a variable. Let's say while reading the data from the input data set, we want to change the names of a variable for few variables. We can do that using rename option. Rename, just you have to rename the variable names, then we have to go for rename. And you can also use multiple options at a time. You can use drop, keep, and rename options at a time. Okay. I'm going little fast. Because I have already explained yesterday all these things. Just a recap. So I don't want to spend much time on this. So very important thing here is, in this program, if you talk about, yesterday we talked about this. Whenever we are using any calculations, let's say you are writing some expressions in a data structure. Let's say here bonus equals to salary into 0.1. So when we are using any expressions in a data step, and make sure you read the data, otherwise you cannot execute those expressions. See here you have in SAS user.payroll. This is a data set. This is my input data set. I'm reading employee ID, gender, and salary information from the input data set. And I'm calculating a new variable called bonus. I'm calculating a new variable called bonus. So bonus is nothing but salary into, and it's 10% on salary. So if I want to calculate this bonus, I need to have a variable salary. So that I have to read that from the input data set. If I don't read, let's say there is no salary here, we cannot execute this statement. We cannot execute this statement. Why? We are not reading the salary information from the input data set. So whenever we are doing any calculations, okay, when we are working on any calculations, or when we are writing some expressions and creating some new variables, then we have to make sure whatever variables we use in the calculation, that needs to be read from the input data set. Otherwise, program will not execute correctly. And you can also control your variables, observations using first ops and ops. You can control your observation using first ops and ops. Let's say you wanted to read sample data, first 10 records. Then you can use first ops equals to 1, ops equals to 10. And then you read from this input data set, it will read only first 10 records. You can also read randomly. If you want to read randomly, we have some other options which we will see later. I mean, we have proc. There is something called sampling concept. We have a lot of procedures like proc, survey, select, and all. So we can use those procedures and we can do sampling. I mean, let's say you want out of these. I mean, let's say you have 1,000 observations in payroll master, and I wanted to target 100 customers. So I can randomly select 100 records from this payroll master using procedures. Okay, so from each group, let's say from male population you want to select 10 records, from female population you wanted to select 10 records. Yes, you can randomly select the records using some procedures. There are some procedures called proc, survey, select, which we will see later when we talk about statistics. Okay, so I mean there you'll learn a lot of techniques, sampling techniques. Okay, so but for the time being, why we use this first option? Obvious, the reason is there will be in real time you'll see a lot of, I mean, millions of records. You'll see millions of records, but let's say you wanted to see how the data is flowing into various variables. You wanted to see the sample data. So for that you can use first obvious and obvious. Not only for that, let's say I have given you 100 data values and I asked you, I want the details of the employee who is receiving the highest salary. You can sort your data. You can sort your data, and you can read only the first record after sorting. Then you'll get on the details of the employee who is receiving highest salary. Because once you sort your data, the guy who is receiving the highest salary, that will come in the top list. Then if you read the first record, if you say first obvious equals to 1, then it's the highest record, right? And we'll see all those examples later. And on top of, I mean, we learn, I mean, along with set, we use all these options. That is very important. See, while reading the data from the input data set, we use all these options. That's, you need to remember. I mean, see, along with set statement, we use keep, drop, rename, first obvious, obvious. So while reading the data from the input data set, we use these options. Okay. And we also talked about where statement. Where statement basically, I mean, I was explaining this where statement and we stopped actually in the middle. So where statement, as you know, it's similar. I mean, if you are familiar with SQL where clause, it's the same actually. So where statement is nothing but it is used to filter the data. Where statement is used to filter the data. While reading the data from the input data set, if you want to filter the data or read part of the data or subset the data based on some conditions, we use where statement. So the syntax for where statement, I mean, where we use where statement is, we use it in a data step after the set statement. So if you look at this syntax, we have total 4 statements in this syntax. One is data statement, second one is set statement, third one is where statement, fourth one is run statement. So data statement and run statement, these two are boundaries of this SAS data step. These two are boundaries. When I say boundary, I mean starting and ending point. Means data step is starting with a statement called data and it is ending with a statement called run. In between data statement and run statement, we mention set and where. In set statement, we write the name of the input data set. In set statement, we write the name of the input data set from which we wanted to read the data. And after reading, where do you want to save that results or where do you want to store the results? We mention, I mean, we have to mention a data set name. So in the data statement, we mention the output data set name. In the where statement, we mention conditions and based on these conditions, we read the data from this input and we write it into output data set. So we read from the input data set, we write it into this output data set based on some conditions. Okay. So generally in conditions, in these conditions, what we use operators. In the conditions, we use operators. So we have various operators like logical operators, comparison operators, and other operators. We have various kinds of operators, and we were discussing yesterday comparison operators, and I have stopped there. Okay. Uh, guys, are you able to? I mean, Satish, Sriram, are you able to hear my voice? Okay. 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 So so I was discussing yesterday comparison operators and I stopped here. I was discussing comparison operators and I stopped here, right? So Okay. So comparison operators, why we call them as comparison operators? The reason is we compare with a let's go to this data set payroll master. So we have total 148 records, 148 observations, 148 observations in this payroll master SAS data set. Okay, now the requirements can be something like I want to read all the employee details whose salary is greater than $100,000, or I want to read all the employees information who is a male. I want all the male employees information. Or let's say you want to read all the employees who joined in the month of Jan. Let's say you want to read all the employees information who joined in the month of Jan, or who joined in the month of 1990, or who I want to read. I want to know the details of the employees whose experience is greater than some 35 years. I mean, it can be anything. The conditions can be anything. So based on the conditions, you have to write the where statement. In the where statement, generally we write conditions. So based on your requirement, we need to write the conditions. Based on your requirements, we need to mention the conditions in the where statement. So while writing the conditions, it's very important which operators you wanted to use. Okay, let's say you wanted to compare each value you wanted to compare with a single value. Let's say each value you wanted to compare with a single value. Then we can go for comparison operators. Comparison operators. Compare. You'll be basically comparing with a single value. For example, if I say salary greater than 100,000, salary greater than 100,000. So what exactly SAS does is, SAS will always read the observation, SAS will always read the data observation by observation. SAS will always read the data observation by observation. When I say observation by observation, it will first read the first record, it will first read the first record or first observation, it will read the first observation. And what is the, in where statement what we have written? We have written salary greater than $100,000. So now it will first pick 48,126 and it will replace here 48,126 and it will compare with $100,000. So if this condition is true, then that observation will be written into output SAS dataset. So it will each and every it will go it will go observation by observation. Once it is done with the first observation, it will go to the second observation, and again it will pick the salary value. Again it will compare with this $100,000. If the condition is true, then that record will be written into this output dataset. If the condition is failing, then that record will not return into output SAS dataset. Okay, and these are some of the comparison operators which I have listed here. Less than equals to, greater than equals to, not equals to. So these are all symbols. These are all symbols, and alternatively, instead of symbols, you can also use the mnemonic codes. Instead of less than symbol, you can use LT. Instead of less than equals to symbol, you can use LE. Okay. So basically here these operators we call as comparison operators. The reason is you compare with a single value and you check whether that condition is true or not. If that condition is true, then that observation, that entire observation will be written into the output data set. Okay. Now let's talk about logical operators. Logical operators. Logical operators. When you have more than one condition, let's say I want to read all my male population, I want to read the male population who is drawing more than $100,000. I want all the male population drawing more than $100,000. So how many conditions we have here? Two conditions. One is gender should be male and salary should be greater than $100,000. So if you want to combine the conditions, then we have to use logical operators. Okay, let's see how to use those logical operators. So we have AND is one logical operator, OR is one logical operator, NOT is one logical operator. We have AND, OR and NOT. These three are logical operators. So for AND the symbol is, you can use ampersand shortcut. Either you can use ampersand or you can use AND. For OR you can use pipe symbol, like you can use pipe symbol, or you can use OR. For NOT you can use tilde symbol which is on top of tab. I mean about tab. If you see in your keyboard about tab, you'll find that tilde. So you can use either these symbols. You can use these symbols or you can use these keywords. Okay. Now example. So data. So I want male population drawing more than $100,000. So this is I have given output data in data set. In data statement we write the output data set name. Okay, semicolon. Next, so we have to read the data from which what is our where is our input data set? It's in SAS user library. And what is the name of the data set? Payroll master, right? Payroll master. And what is our what conditions we have here? We have two conditions. One is our gender should be male, right? So there is a variable called gender. So gender should be male. So you need to write gender equals to. So gender is which data type? Is it a character variable or numeric variable? It's a character variable. If it is a character variable, then you have to put the values in quotes. Either single quotes or double quotes, anything is fine in SAS. Either single or double. Either you can put this value either in single quotes or double quotes. But the quotes should match. I mean, it should not. I mean, it should not be in this way. And this is unquoted. Unmatched quotations. I mean, both should be either double or both should be either single. I mean, one should not be single and the other one should not be double. I mean, it should not start with a single quote and it should not end. I mean, it should not end with a double quote. I mean, both these quotes, starting quote and ending quote, should match. Either both should be single or both should be double. So where gender equals to male, and what is one more? The other condition is salary value. Salary should be greater than $100,000, right? So I have to combine these two conditions. For combining, I can use either and or. I mean, all these kind of logical operators I can use. So now in this case, both the conditions should get satisfied. Means both the conditions should be true, right? Both the conditions means gender information should be male, and salary should be greater than $100,000. So I'll use and end. So when I use AND logical operator, it means both the conditions must be true. For example, let's say it reads this data. Let's say because SAS processes observation by observation, right? So first it will read first observation. So what is the value for gender? It's male. So it's male. So gender value is male. And what is the salary? It's 48,000. So in this case, it's true. But what about salary? Is the salary greater than $100,000? No. So then this record will not return into the output data set. Let's say you have $120,000. So will this record will be written into output data set? Yes, because both the conditions it is satisfying. Gender is male, and salary value is also greater than 1 lakh. Oh, sorry, $120,000. Yes, Kalyan. Yes, yes. Whatever value you have in codes, that should match with the input data. Because SAS language is not case sensitive, but whatever you put in quotes, that is case sensitive. Whatever you put in quotes, that's case sensitive. Means I cannot write here small n. Yeah, it's small n. So in that case, what we have to do is, let's say you have a data set called some gender. Let's say you have some some dollar. You might have information something like this. Let's say female, say male. Let's say female, say female, and male. You'll have this in this way, right? Now, if I ask you how many males are there, females are there, here the data is not in a standardized format. Data is not in a standardized format. So what we do is generally, let me run the procedure and I'll show you. you have functions for that. See, ideally you get in this fashion, right? I mean, see, female is, I mean, capital female is one. I mean, we have completely in uppercase, completely in lowercase. So this is not a correct output. This is not a correct output. So what you have to do is, give me 1 second. You have to convert the values. Let's say gen 1 equals to uppercase of gen. I mean, function. This is a functions topic. I mean, which I have not discussed yet. We'll learn sometime today or tomorrow. So you have to convert all the values either into uppercase or lowercase. You have to convert all the values either into uppercase or lowercase, and you can replace. If you want to replace the source data, you can replace. Let's say if I write here instead of gen 1, I'm applying a function uppercase on gen variable, input variable, and I'm saving in the same variable. You can do that. Now the data is standardized, right? So now you get the output. Female. There are total 7 associates. Out of 7, 3 are females and 4 are males. Okay. So generally for that we use functions. We'll see that. We'll see it maybe today or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll talk about functions, character function, numeric function, datetime functions. Then we'll come to know that. Okay. Coming to this, see here the important point is whatever you put in quotes, it's case sensitive. SAS language is not case sensitive, but if you put anything in quotations, it's case sensitive. Okay. So when we say end, what does it mean? It means both the conditions should get satisfied. When we use end operator, it means all the conditions, whatever you have in that where statement should get satisfied. Okay. Let me instead of and, if I say or, what does it mean? Any of the condition gets satisfied. Either gender can be male or salary is more than $100,000, right? Let me execute this. So in this case, is there any possibility that we get female records also in my output? Yes, right? If their salary is greater than $100,000, we'll get it. Let's go to, I'm not sure where we have, but we will have somewhere. Yeah, look at here, 75th record. Okay. So it's similar. I mean, or is nothing but if either of the condition is satisfied, then that record will be read into the output data set. Okay. So let me say and job code equals to PT. Okay, what are the job codes? Okay, we have PT something like PT2. There is a field called PT2. There is a field called job code. In this job code, you have the job code. I mean, generally here PT is nothing but this is airlines information. We'll see actually these data sets we use again a lot because this is related to airlines data. We take some case study on airlines industry and we work on this. And here PT is nothing but pilot. We have 3 different categories: PT1, PT2, P3, PT3. ME stands for mechanical. BCK stands for baggage checking. Okay, FA stands for flight attendant. So there are a couple of these are all designations. You can think of a designation. And again, in each designation, you have some categories like flight. In the flights, we have 3 different categories. You'll see all these things. TA stands for ticket agent. So you have something in this. So now what I want is, I want all the male population, either male or salary is greater than 100,000, and the job code should be PT2. Or let's say you want all the employees information who is drawing more than $100,000 and belongs to PT2 category, or they can be male. So let me write a question for you. What I want is employees drawing more than $100,000 okay, and belongs to PT2 job category. Belongs to PT2 job category, or employee or male employees, or they can be male employees. So here total we have three conditions, right? I mean, the first condition is, employees should draw more than $100,000 and they should belong to, let's say, PT2 job category, as well as if employees are males, then I want those information. See, now if you look at this statement, how SAS will execute, how SAS will understand whether this salary greater than 100,000 belongs to, I need to execute this particular condition with gender, or I need to take this combo or this combo. How SAS will identify here? So it's always advisable to use parentheses, braces, parentheses, not braces, parentheses. So first what I want is, I want to treat this entire condition, whatever I have highlighted, as a single condition. I want to treat this entire condition as a single condition. What is this condition? Salary is greater than $100,000 and job code equals to PT2. And it can mean, this is one condition, and the other condition is gender equals to male. If either of the condition is true, then that record needs to be written into output data set. So if we put conditions in parentheses, SAS first executes all the conditions which are in parentheses. Here what we have in parentheses, we have salary greater than $100,000 and job code equals to PT2. So first it will execute this condition. Okay, let's say for example, go to our data set. Let's take this example. Okay. Is salary greater than $100,000? Yes. And this guy belongs to PT2 category? Yes. It's true, right? It's true. So here, how many cases we have? Let's see. Generally, case, we can say condition 1, condition 2, result. If condition 1 is true, condition 2 is also true, then that record will be copied into output data set. If condition 1 is true and condition 2 is also true, then that record will be copied into the output data set in case of which operator? OR operator, right? Result in case of AND operator. In case of AND operator, if both the conditions are true, then that record will be written into the output data set. Let's say second condition, here it is false. So that record will be copied into output data set in case of AND? No, right? Because in case of AND operator, both the condition needs to be satisfied. Otherwise, that record will not be written into output data set. Now the other case, what is the other case? First, let's say first condition is false, second condition is true. Will that record copy into output data set? Yes. In case of OR, it is yes. In case of AND, it's not. And let's say the first condition is false, second condition is also false. So if you see the, if both the conditions are failing, that record will not copy into the output data set in either of the cases, right? So here as well, so when we write any conditions, it will read record by record and it will pull the values from, it will read the values from the input data set and it will replace here and it will check for the conditions. Let's say salary value is 1,25,000, so it will replace in this way, $125,000. And job code, let's say it is PT2, then it will put it here, PT2. Okay, now it will check whether it is true or not. If it is true, then again it will check for this condition. So if both the conditions are true, let's say both the conditions are true, in case of what is the operator you are using here, or, so then that will be copied into the output data set. Let's say here it is 90,000. Let's say it's 90,000 and gender information is male. So this condition is false because 90,000 is not greater than 100,000. So it is false. It is failing. So it is false, and this, let's say this is true. False and true. The result will be false, right? This is false and this is true. The result will be false, right? And coming to here, it's again true. Let's say gender is male, so it's true. So let's say gender is male, and in this case salary is 90,000 and job code is PT2, and this is false. This is false. So in this case it is true, in the second case it is false. And what is the operator that we are using here? Or will that record copy into the output data set? Yes. I hope you understand this concept. You have learned this in your school days actually, all these things. So whatever conditions we write here, whatever conditions we write in where statement, it always depends on this or and end, and also the braces. If I change the braces, let's say I have changed the braces now, I have written in this way. The requirements totally gets changed, right? What does this mean? I want all the male population, either I want the details of the employees who is either a male or drawing salary more than $100,000, and they should belong to PT2 job category, right? There are very few. Belongs to, see, it can be male, see here, if you look at this output, there are some records with female category as well. Why we got female category? We have used here or. So there are some, in gender we have female category as well, right? So one condition got satisfied. So in case of or, if any of the condition gets satisfied, then that record will be copied into the output. This is true, and job code is also PT2. Job code is also PT2. So both the conditions are satisfied, so that record will be written into output data set. Clear? Okay. So let's see like operator. So why do we use like operator? Like operator is used for pattern matching. Like operator is used for pattern matching. Like operator is used for, and this is very important operator. This is very important operator from SQL standpoint. From when we talk about SQL, when we discuss SQL, then we use aggressively this like operator. That is very important. When I explain some case study I'll be explaining this like operator a lot. I mean, this is very important. We'll work on one project, fund flow. I mean, clients fund flow analytics using cross-border payments. We'll work on one project. It's a very big project, and related to foreign exchange services. So fund flow analytics using cross-border payments. So there our objective is to, let's say, every month you have 6 million transactions, wire transactions. Now now let's say you're working for Bank of America, and all from the wire transactions, 6 million wire transactions, you have to identify how many of the wire transactions are going outside of US. Let's say from US to all the wire transactions initiated from US, let's say initiated in US, and those are going outside US. So we wanted to identify to which country those transactions are going, and in which currency format those transactions are going out, and to which business that amount is going, from which client to which client that amount is going. Okay, so in order to identify the destination country, so we apply lot of logics, because identifying the destination country is a challenge, because manually they enter. See, when we transfer money in the description column, we enter. I mean, if there is no proper standard format for it, right? So it's a very good project actually. You can put it in your resume saying that you have worked in that area, foreign exchange area, or you can say that project name is something like fund fund flow analytics using cross-border payments. So where we will learn how to create dashboards. When we'll create some dashboards, and we'll see there will be there will be more than 200 countries where the funds will be flowing out on month-on-month basis. I mean, let's say Bank of America, so it will have customers. Let's say you are in US, you might import goods from various countries. Let's say you have imported from UK, you have imported from Malaysia, you have imported from Pakistan, from India. So in turn, you have to pay money, right? While paying money, you can either send the money in two currency format, their local currency, or you can send it in dollars. So the currency conversion can happen either within the bank, or the currency conversion can happen at the receiving end. Once the amount is received at the destination country, then they might convert it. Or you might send, let's say you wanted to send money to your parents who are living in India. So which currency format you will send? Either you can send it in dollars, or you can send it in rupees, right? So maybe you can use a third-party service as well for currency conversion, not only bank. Let's say you have an account with Bank of America. You might not use Bank of America services. You might use some Western Union or some third-party FX services who is providing FX services, foreign exchange services. Why you are using those services? Why you are not using bank services? So we wanted to identify all the potential area of opportunities, and we wanted to have negotiations with these clients, and we wanted to convert. We wanted to sell our services. And recently, I'm working on this project for the last 2 years. Actually, it took more than, since it's continuing. It's a very huge project, and without lending anything, we can earn revenue. Because it's through non-lending activities. I'm not lending anything to any customer. But if for each wire transaction, Bank of America charges, if it is the local, we charge $35. If it is international, we charge $45. And imagine on monthly basis, we have 6 million wire transactions. There itself we are earning more, because for each wire transaction we charge something. But what we have observed is 97% of the wire transactions which are going out, and they are going out for currency conversion. The currency conversion is not happening within the bank. Only 3%, only 3% of the customers, they are converting their currency before sending out. That's converting in bank with bank. They are not utilizing our services. Maybe we are charging more when compared to the market. That could be the one reason. So we wanted to identify how can we increase the revenue. So to which clients we need to target. See, let's say there is a customer Walmart who is sending money to China every month. Let's say some 10,000 transactions. So 10,000, there itself you earn 10,000 into. If they're, again, based on the relationship, we charge the price. They might not charge $45 since every month he is he is sending 10,000 wires. Maybe we might charge only $20. But let's say he is sending in US dollars to China. Again, those guys needs to convert into, if they wanted to use, they have to convert into their local currency, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to identify all the top clients in various areas. Let's say it can be small business customers or large corporates, or it can be a middle market, mid market clients. We want, based on your area of interest. Let's say you wanted to target all the companies whose turnover is more than $5 million to some $25 million. So you wanted to identify those clients and see how they are sending money, to which countries they are sending money, and in which currency format they are sending money. You wanted to create some dashboards out of that. Once you create these dashboards will help the client managers or treasury officers to whom they need to target. So, right? So that's what you have to do. You have to analyze your data and you need to create some presentations out of that. Then they can use those client managers and global treasury officers. They can use your dashboards and they can take some decisions. So for that you need to know where is your data, how to create those dashboards, how to prepare your data, how to identify to which country that amount is going. So for that you have to apply all these programming concepts, you have to prepare the data, all these things. So that project you can put it in your resume. It's a very good project. Say that you're working for some X bank and you worked extensively on this project. Because it's a very big project and we are working on patent actually. Right now I'm currently working on patenting that process because I have developed a logic which is not existing in any bank right now. So I have created some, I pulled all the, do you have any idea of SWIFT codes? In India, generally when we transfer money, we use IFSC codes, right? In the same way, for international transactions, we have SWIFT codes, we have IBAN numbers, international bank account numbers, we have something called, we have other methods as well. So I have developed a logic. What I have done is I pulled all the information from Google using some web crawling techniques, using some text analytics, and I have created a lookup tables. In that table, we will have all the SWIFT codes for all the banks across the world. So if you give me any transaction, I'll first pass my table on these fields, whatever fields, available fields, and I'll check to which country it is going based on the SWIFT codes, based on the IBAN numbers, based on the address fields. You'll have address line 1, to which bank it is going, you'll have address line number 1, address line number 2, address line number 3, address line number 4. We pass the data. So for that we use aggressively like operator. Let's say let's say you have 4 fields. Let's say you have address 1, let's say you have address line 2, address 3, address 4. So we will have strings somewhere, like in any of these strings. Let's say you're sending money from US to India, you'll have either Bangalore or Kolkata or some pin codes in any of these address fields, right? So I'll search for those strings and I'll mark it as, okay, if the string contains Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad or some other Agra or Patna, then mark it as India. So like operator will help me. Not only like operator, there are other techniques. Like operator is one of the techniques. I mean, one of the operator which we use aggressively. Okay, and you have to make sure. See, if you take Hyderabad, Hyderabad is there in Pakistan as well. If you take Punjab, Punjab is there in Pakistan as well. You have to take care of all those things. So in such a way, you have to develop the logic. So the same. If you take London, London is in Canada as well as in, we have it in UK. Okay, so if you take, let's say you might take, see, in all the countries you'll have at least one shop with the name China. So you cannot go by simply China string and say if the address field contains China, it is, the money is going to China. So you have to take all those things into consideration. And India also, if you take Indiana, in US there are a lot of state codes which are confusing. So there are if you take example of Arizona, we have a country called, there is a country code which is AG actually. If you take Delaware, DE, country code for Germany is DE, and is in the same way in US code Delaware is DE. If you take California, country code for Canada is CA, California state code is CA. So in the data, so when you parse your data, when you search for the strings, you have to take all these factors into consideration. So that's the reason it took 2 years to develop this project. It's still in the, we are in the, I mean, we are still working on enhancements on it. So from 6 million wire transactions, Now we are able to see it now actually those 6 million transactions, whatever I spoke, whatever I said, it includes both domestic wire transactions as well as international. It's a challenge for you to identify which is domestic, which is international. You cannot go by only strings. There are some other logics also which you have to include, and you need to come up with your answer. So you'll write a lot of business logics, and you try to identify to which country that is going, which currency format it is going, and who is the clients involved in that, who are the parties involved, from which client it is going to which client it is going, and to which bank also it is going. That also we wanted to know, because we wanted to find the share of wallet. Let's say Dell is a client to Bank of America, and it is sending money to various countries on monthly basis. Now we wanted to identify to which bank it is sending money. Let's say it is sending money to Singapore. Let's say Dell is sending money to Singapore. It is out. Let's say it is sending some $10,000, and in this $10,000, let's say $1,000 it is sending to its Citibank account in Singapore. Let's say it is sending some $5,000 to some HSBC bank which is in Singapore, and some 2,000 it is sending to some other bank, and only $50 it is sending to our bank. Even though Dell has presence in Singapore, and Dell client has an account with Bank of America in Singapore as well, but it is not utilizing our services. Why it is not utilizing our services? We wanted to talk to these clients, and we wanted to check the reason. So if we have the data availability, data readily available, then client managers, they can go to those clients and they can talk. Guys, I mean, we saw that you are sending every month to Singapore $10,000, and even though you have relationship with us, you are not utilizing our services. What is the reason? I mean, are you getting a better rate from any other bank? Let us know. We will offer a better price for you. So how you come to know that? Unless you dig into the data, you do some analysis, you create some presentations, you cannot come to know that, right? So every month we are earning from this we are seeing the profit every month $600 million. Every year, sorry, not month, year. In a year, we started seeing profit $600 million with the 3% conversion. We have still 97% left. Means the currency conversion is going out. The currency is happening outside India. Sorry, outside US. So we wanted to target all those clients, the top clients. You see, we cannot target each and every client. To start with, we'll pick a region and we'll start targeting, and we wanted to convert from that 97. Our objective is in next 2 to 3 years, at least we want to make sure that at least 50% of the conversion is happening within the bank. It's a bigger target, but still we will try. This is one area. In similar way, we have a lot of other areas I can explain. When we talk about domain knowledge, I can talk about more on this. You can put all these projects, whatever I'm talking, you can put in your CV, and you can say that I worked on all these areas using SaaS technology. You need to know how to sell yourself in the interview, right? See, you'll be given only hardly, to be honest, you'll be given, for 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years of experience. The very first question would be generally, they'll ask to explain your project. Talk about yourself and ask about your project. So if you talk this, see, I spoke, it's more than 5 minutes I spoke about this project. If you talk 3 minutes, you will say, okay, it's enough, let's go to technical now. They'll ask questions from technical. Generally, it's how it happens in India. At least I don't know what US, how the interviews will happen. But in India, they'll ask first project related stuff. They'll ask to explain about yourself. After that, they'll ask what projects you have worked on, can you explain? Or what are your day-to-day responsibilities? So if you start speaking, and if you will not stop, you will only stop and you'll say, okay, let me ask you technical questions. That's fine. So if you are thorough with one project, it's enough actually. Okay. So why I have explained all these things is like operator. Like operator will help us actually. So like operator helps us in identifying similar patterns. Pattern matching. It is used for pattern matching. I just need to ask these guys. Guys, any questions? Anyone has any questions? Satish, Sriram, Vasu.
No.
Right? Okay.
No.
Sir, this.
Did you understand what I explained? I am hearing some. Please go on mute if you are not speaking. Okay. I mean, so I hope you understood what I tried to explain. Cross-border payments, or you can say international wire transactions, whatever. Anyway, we'll discuss in detail at the end. After a couple of days, we'll discuss in detail about that project end to end, how to do that, and how we get the requirements, and how to write a code for that. I'll also share the codes with you. Maybe I'll take printout. If possible, I'll try to take the printout of the codes what I have written for that, and I'll share with you. It will help you actually. Anyway, I'll have a lot of codes what I have written in my previous companies I have right now with me. I'll anyway share with you like how you have to write codes when you get any requirement. I'll share anyways. Okay, come here. So like operator is used for pattern matching. So what do you mean by pattern matching? I'll take a small example. Let's take a data. Let's create a data set. Data some country name input some country data lines from Australia. I'll take a very simple example. Then we can see a bigger example. Australia, Burma, China, India, Pakistan, Brazil, Nepal, Austria, uh, New Zealand. Okay, something. So I created a data set here. So by default, when we execute a program and if we don't mention the name of the library, it will go to work library. If we don't mention the library name, it will store in work library. See, now we have the data, right? We have all those countries. And why I have given this 12 dot is, the reason is, by default, if you define a character variable, it will accept only 8 characters. The default length or the default length of a character variable is 8. If you want to read a string which is more than 8 characters, you have to specify the width. So I have given 12 dot. Okay, if it is more than 8, you have to mention the width. Now what I want is, I want to read all the country names which starts with some A. I want to read all the country names which starts with A. Which starts with A. So country names starts with letter A. Country name starts with letter A. Okay, data, output data set name, let's say start underscore A. So where is my input data set? My input data set is in country underscore name. Okay, so my condition is where this country, country like, it should start with A, right? We have something called wild characters. Wild characters which we use along with like operator. We have two wild characters. One is percentage, the other one is underscore. Percentage and underscore. So we use these two wild characters in like operator. Along with like operator, we use these wild characters. wild characters. Percentage is a wild character, underscore is a wild character. I'll explain you what is the purpose of percentage and what is the purpose of underscore. So where country like, if I say a percentage, it means I want to read all the country names which starts with A, followed by, it can be anything. From second line onwards, it can be anything, but it should start with letter A. It should start with letter A. So how many values we have here? How many country names we have here? 2, Australia and Austria, right? Now let's say you want to read country names which ends with let's say IA, not IA. Let's say IA. Country names ends with IA. So if you look at here, Australia ending with IA, India is ending with IA, Austria is ending with IA, right? So in the like operator, you need to first mention you need to first write wild character percentage followed by IA. It means that if the country name is ending with IA, then I want to read from the input data. Means when I say percentage, it it can be any character, it can start with any character or anything, but the last two characters should be IA, right? So ends IA. Means pattern matching, similar pattern. I am trying to read similar pattern strings. Here the pattern is IA. The country name should end with IA. It's a similar pattern. All the values, if you look at all the country names, are following the same pattern, right? They are ending with IA. Now let's say you want to read wherever there is AN in the string. If you have AN, I want to read that data. Do we have anything such like that? Yes, we have. In New Zealand we have AN. In Pakistan we have AN. That's it, right? Okay. So what I want is country name contains country name contains AN. Country name contains AN. So it can be anywhere. I mean, either it can start with AN, or it can end with AN, or it can be in the middle. The character AN can be in the middle of that string as well, right? So what you have to do is percentage AN percentage. If you write percentage AN percentage, it means it can mean the country name can start with AN, or it ends with AN, or it can be in the middle. Anywhere we have AN combination in that string, in that country name, it will read and it will write it into output data set. See Pakistan and New Zealand. Okay. Now let's say you want to read so I want the country names whose length is 5 and ends with letter A. Country names, I want to read the country names whose length is 5 and ends with letter A. Can I see here? See, if you there are a couple of countries which are ending with A. China, India, Burma, Australia, Austria, these are all ending with A. But there is one more condition. What is that? Length should be equals to 5. So when there is a restriction on length, then we don't use percentage, we use underscore. We use underscore. Let's say how to use that. Let's length is 5 and ends with a, right? Okay, country like. So the fifth, there is a restriction only on one letter. What is that letter? I mean, sorry, it ends. Sorry, I mean, there is a restriction. What is the restriction? It should be a 5-letter keyword. I mean, 5-letter country name, and it should end with a, right? So what you do? Can you write percentage a? We cannot write. If you write percentage a, Australia will also come here. But the length of Australia is more than 5, right? So what we have to do is we have to use underscores. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 underscores followed by a. It means the first 4 letters can be anything. The fifth letter should be a. Okay. Here the condition is the fifth letter should also be a, because the length of the country name is a in the sense. It means the fifth letter is a. Prior to that a, it can be anything. There is no restriction, right? So I have used underscore. If there is a restriction on length, you have to use underscore. If there is no restriction on length of the string, then you have to use percentage. Again, got it? Huh. Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's a one-time activity, so you have to put. We can write. You can use length function. You can use length function. You can say a length of country. I mean, I'll try. I'll execute and show you that as well. So let me execute this first. So Burma, China, India. This is fine. Or else, in your case, what we then you I mean you can also alternatively write one more condition, like you can write length of country. Since I have not touched upon functions, I'm not explaining. Length of country is 5 and country like percentage here. I can write in this. Okay. Same output. So you can use combination of functions and this. I mean, you can restrict. But since I have not explained functions, I didn't. I mean, how is it? Okay, cool. So let me give you one more example. Let's say you wanted to it should start with. Okay, let me take an example from other areas. I mean, let's say let me go back to any data set and let's try to see if we can. Okay. See here, if you look at this data set SAS user.payroll master, you have something called PT2, PT1, PT3. There are 3 different categories actually, 3 different pilot category job codes. I want all the pilots information, whether he belongs to PT1 or PT2 job category or PT3 job category. What you will do in this case? Data, pilots information, read pilots data from SAS user dot payroll master dataset. Read pilots or pilot employee data from SAS user dot payroll master. So pilot set SAS user dot payroll master, where job code like PT percentage. PT percentage. So it should start with PT followed by, it can be anything, right? If you look at the job codes, you have PT2, PT1, PT3, right? Let me take one more example. Okay, let me go back, go to any of these. See, there is a file called, maps. I mean, library called maps, in which you will have all countries information. These are all countries actually. So we will, when we talk about maps, there is, I mean, we can create geographical maps. Let's say you wanted to see the footprint of your customers. Let's say in US, you have 50 states. I want to see majority of my customers are from which state. I want a map. I mean, map in the sense, let's say, which helps to the which helps clients in understanding about their clients. So let's yes.
What is the minimum salary and what you get?
Hmm. Yes, we can. Yeah, we can use. We can. I mean, we'll see all those examples. See here. I mean, this is what I'm trying to explain. So if you want any country map also, you can do it in SAS. I mean, let's say, let me open any of these maps. Let's say this. So I wanted to know in which state majority of my population is. See here, this is, if you look at here, this is Texas map, Texas country, Texas state. This is Arizona, right? This is California. So North Carolina, NC, Michigan. Okay. So I mean, you can create these kind of maps as well using SAS, and you can see what is the footprint of your customer. Let's say you want to understand from which state majority of your customers are. And out of you can, I mean, let's say there are 1,000 customers, and we wanted to know from which state they belong, which state they belong to. We can do that using SAS. We have something called graphs module, SAS graph module, and we have something called gmap procedure, proc gmap, and this was introduced very recently. It was not there earlier. I mean, these concepts were came in recent software. Earlier we don't have all these things. So we'll learn all these things. These concepts came in 9.4 only. I mean, in 9.3, if you are using 9.3 software, you cannot work on this. 9.3 we don't have this. They have introduced all this very recently. You can create this. I mean, some bar graphs, or you can understand your clients. So the bigger the bar, it means majority of the population are in that location, in that state. I mean, not only US, we can also create India maps as well. We have India maps as well. We can create India maps and understand your customers. Okay, we'll see anyways all those things. Not now. When we talk about graphs, we'll look into that. Okay. Uh, so I hope you understood like operator. Anyway, we'll anyway discuss when we talk. I mean, in SQL as well, we'll discuss this. When we communicate, when we pull the data from Oracle or Teradata, we have something called like any and like all, which we cannot use in data step, but these are very important actually. These are very important. This like any and like all were very important, but we cannot use in data step. I mean, let's say you want to combine. Let's say you want to combine two conditions. For example, I want to read pilot's information as well as some. Let's say you want to read where is that payroll master. Let's say you want to read mechanics. information as mechanic job codes as well. So what we have to do here is, again you have to write or again you have to write job code like and me percentage. You have to write two conditions, but we have something called like any or like all operators as well, but which will not work in data set, which will work in SQL. Okay, I can simply write here any like any I can give in one shot, like pt percentage comma me percentage. I can give it in this way. Okay, we'll see all those things when we talk in SQL. In SQL we'll see all these things, because in data step it doesn't work. In data step it works only like, and we have multiple conditions. Then you have to use multiple, I mean you have to use you have to write multiple statements here. Multiple statement, when I say multiple, you have to write it in this way. I mean, let's say you want pilots information as well as mechanics information, and you have to write in this way. You have to write individually, where job code like PT percentage or job code like ME percentage. Okay. I hope you understood like operator. Okay, let's talk about between end operator. Between end operator. Between end. So if you want to read the data within a range, let's say I want to read all my employees information whose salary is in between 50,000 and 60,000, who is drawing in between 50,000 and 60,000. Okay, so we can use between end operator as well, or else you can use, there are multiple ways for that. Let me tell you, between end operator. So if read data within a range, read data within a range. For example, data some salary 50,000 to 60,000, sets as user dot payroll master, where salary between 50,000 and 60,000. What does it mean? So the salary is between 50 and 60, right? So, and whatever values you give here, it is inclusive, not exclusive. These are all of these are inclusive. 50 and 60 are inclusive. All the values will be in between 50 and 60. Okay. You can also use this for dates as well, between and not only for numeric. I mean, we can also use. Let's say you want to read all the employees who joined from 1989 to 1990. So where date of hire between, so 01, let's say Jan 1989 and 31st December 1990. You have to write it in this way. I mean, if there are any dates and when you are using in conditions, you have to put it in quotes and you need to end with D. This is the standard rule actually. Yes, Ellie. No, anything is fine. Here there is no restriction. The values for here it's not, there is no restriction. I mean, good point actually. I mean, whatever we put it in quotes, it is case sensitive, right? But coming to dates, it's not a case sensitive. The reason is how SAS stores dates internally in the form of a number, right? So now I have, if I don't end with D, what does it mean? It's a character value. But SAS stores internally in the form of a number. So I have to I have to convert this text into a number. So if you want to convert into a number, you need to end with D. Simple. So what it does is it will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. Because SAS stores all the dates in the form of a numbers, and when it stores, it will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. Here a number will be replaced now. And internally in that data set, even though you are seeing dates here, internally it's a number. It's a number. So it will compare with those numbers. Okay. Yes, yes, Kalyan.
All of them also be the same as a data set.
Yes, yes, that is possible. In the same data set, we cannot have repetitive columns. I mean, the same column cannot repeat. I mean, the same variable name should not repeat. But a variable name and a data set name can be same. Variable name and data set name can be same. But in the same data set, there should not be a variable with, I mean, a variable repeating. Or the same name you should not have twice. So between and basically it's within a range. We can also use between and. Can we use between and for character variables? Let's say job code, for example, job code between let's say A and P. Can I use in this way? Can I use a character? What will happen if I use? Any guess? Any guess? Will it execute or not? So if I give, let's say, okay, no, let me give here PT. Let me give here PT here, or let me give here A and let me give here P. Will it execute? It will execute, right? It will follow. Earlier, the ones whatever values I have given, it didn't execute. The reason is there are no keywords starting with small a and small p. That's the reason it didn't execute. Here it will follow the dictionary. So when I say dictionary, so it alphabetical order. I mean, so first A will come, right, followed by B. So it will check the job code variable and it will see are there any values starting with A, followed by B, followed by C, followed by D. So if there are any variables, if there are any values in between A and P, I mean it can start with A or AA or AAA or AAB, AB, AD, AC, anything. So it should start with A until what is the range we have given? Till P we have given. So all the values between A and P. Let me give A and B. Let's see how many values we get. Then you'll understand. Let me give A and B. Okay, I've given small b, right? Have to be only. What happened? We don't have anything? I think we have, right? Yeah, we have baggage checking. There were 0 observations right between A and B. How come? Let's give BCK. Let's try. Yeah, we got it. But why we didn't get when I gave B? Hmm, let's say F. let me change the name. The way. Okay, I'll get back to you on this. I mean, I'm not very sure. I thought it will work, but it's not working as expected. I'll get back to you on this. I'm not. I mean, I tried it actually because between and let me use on the numeric only. But I tried. But I'll get back to you on this. I mean, I have to do some work on this because I'm not very sure on this. I thought it will work, but it's not working. Anyways, not a problem. So between and if you want to read the data within a range, generally we use between and. Generally 99% of the time, and or you can say 100% of the time, we apply on numeric variable only. But I tried on somehow I thought it will work, but it's not working. Okay, so you have something called in operator. This is also very important operator. In operator. In operator. Let's say you want to compare with a list of values. To compare list of values. To compare with a list of values, if you want to compare with a list of values, then we use in operator. Let's say for example data, I want pilots information as well as I want flight attendants information. Set as user dot payroll master. Okay, set as user dot payroll master, where job code is the name of the variable. In I want PT1 employees information, flight attendants 2 information, and flight attendants 1 information. Let's say. So if you want to compare with more than one value, see earlier if you remember, if you see, I used to write. I mean here we used to compare only. We compared only with one value. Salary greater than 100,000. It means you are comparing one value only, right? At a time you are comparing only one value. But in this case, if you say, let's say when you read the first record, let's say you read the first record. Let's go to the payroll master. Now you first pick this value TA2, and TA2 we compare with these three values. If it is matching with any of the value, then that record will be written into this output data set. So first value is TA2, right? Let's go TA2. Now TA2, you compare with how many values? In this case, you compare with three values. TA2 is compared with three values. If I write here where job code equals to TA2, it means you are comparing with only one value. But if you want to compare with more than one value, then we cannot use equals to, less than, greater than, all those things. Single row comparison operators we cannot use. We have to use in operator. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can write where job code equals to PT1 or job code equals to FA1 or job code equals to FA2. This is what you need to write. You can write either in this way. Since the variable is same, only the value which you are comparing is different, right? So it's better to use in operator. If you want to compare with a list of values, I mean it's a more than one value. When I say list of value, it's more than a value, more than one value. Then you have to use in operator. Yes, yes, Kalyan. You have to use like operator. We can use pattern matching with like operator. So here what you can do is, can you give me one second? I'm sorry. So, I mean, you're asking something. I mean, if you want to use that, what you have to do is where job code equals to PT1 or job code like FA percentage is what we need to write. Or else, the other alternative is, it's a very simple way. There is one more way where job code equals to, let's say you want, I mean, you can use, there is a function called substring, substr of 1 comma 2 equals to, you can say here fa. I mean, I'm extracting the first two characters from a string job code and I'm equating to fa. I mean, we'll see all these things. Okay. So based on our requirement, we have to use the conditions. I mean, we have to manipulate. Yeah, if you put, but this PT is different, right? I mean, so this can be used in SQL. In SQL, you can use like any, and you can say like any PT percentage, FA percentage. It works. But in data step, it doesn't work. Okay, we are done with the operators, and we might miss at least one or two operators. We may miss here at this point in time, but that will cover in SQL. When we talk about SQL, we'll discuss more operators. So, but why we use operators? Where do we use operators? We use operators in conditions. So, where do we use conditions? We use conditions in where statement. We use conditions in where statement, right? So very important statement. Where statement, set statement, these are very important, and we'll keep on using until the end of the data step programming. We use both set and where. Whatever concepts you use, if I mean whatever loops, or you take any conditional statements, or you take any arrays, or you take any concept in data step programming, we use set and where. Okay, fine. Okay. Okay, we'll take break for 10 minutes and we'll continue. And people, if you are interested, then we'll continue for other, I mean others, if you are interested, you can continue. Otherwise, you can leave as well, not a problem. I mean, we'll continue for Kalyan. So if you are interested, you can, otherwise you can leave for the day. It's up to you. So whoever wants to leave, they can, or if you want to continue, you can. I mean, again, it's 9:08 now. We'll start at 9:20, and it will go till 12 o'clock. I mean, it's up to you. Sorry? You want 20 minutes late? Okay. You want to, okay, you want to have breakfast. Okay, that's fine. According to SAS, this data is non-standard. And this data is standard. So in order to convert this non-standard data, into standard, we use informats technique. But if let's say I have given you a number, let's say 14,567. Now if I ask you what is the equivalent date value of 14,567, can you tell me? No, you cannot. So users cannot understand SAS language, I mean SAS standard language. So for user understandability, what we have to do is we have to convert standard into non-standard. If the dates are in this fashion, then we can read it, right? Now if I ask you, let's say you have a salary value, something like this. Can you tell me immediately what it is? You cannot. There is no comma separator, thousand separator. If there is a thousand separator, it will be, I mean, for readability standpoint, from user's readability standpoint, it is good if you have thousand separator. So if you want to convert standard data into non-standard to make users understand, we have to use formats. Simple. To convert standard into non-standard into standard, we use informats, and reverse. If you want to convert standard into non-standard, you have to use formats. Here, informats are used to convert non-standard data into standard data. Why do you have to convert into standard? To make SAS understand. Not to make SAS understand, we have to convert into standard data. And formats are used to convert standard into non-standard to make user understand. Because we cannot understand if the date, if you give some number and if you ask for the date, it's not possible for us. Immediately we cannot tell. We have to do again calculations and we have to do. Okay? Or else simply you can say, to read the data from the input, we use informats. Generally, while reading the data from the input, we use informats. But while writing the data to the output, we use formats. You can use formats. I mean, you can use any. I mean, in the interview, from the interview standpoint, if anyone asks you, you have to give this answer. To read the data from the input, we use informat. To write the data to the output, we have to use formats. Not to convert standard into. That is to make you understand. I told you that way, but to make you understand. But generally, to read the data from the input, we use informat, and to write the data to the output, we use formats. I'll tell you why. To the I'll tell you the meaning, exact meaning of to read the data, to write the data in some time. And non-standard examples. These are all non-standard examples. These are all non-standard examples. And these are standard. SAS can read if the data is in this format. So if you take 12 Jan 1998, so it will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st 1960. That's how it stores internally. Okay. The syntax. Let's see the syntaxes. So syntax is informat. It's a statement actually. Informat is a statement. It starts with informat keyword followed by on which variable you want to apply this informat technique, on which variable you wanted to apply this informat technique, followed by what is the format type. Format type, we'll see what is format type in short in 1-2 minutes. And the syntax for format is also same. Format followed by variable name, followed by variable name, followed by format type. Let's see how to use this informats and formats in the code. See here, see the data lines now. You have name, you have age values, you have dates now. You have dates. Okay, you have name, age, and date of birth. Since name is a character variable, I have mentioned $sign after the variable. Okay, and what is the type of date of birth? Here in this case, I didn't tell anything, right? I didn't mention anything. So by default, SAS will treat it as a numeric variable. If you don't mention anything, any $sign at the end of the variable, SAS will treat it as numeric variable. Explicitly, if you specify $sign after the variable name, then only it will treat it as character variable. If you don't mention any $sign after the variable name, it will treat it as numeric variable. Now, can a numeric variable accept an alphanumeric value? No, it cannot, right? So let me execute this. Let's go to work, student details. See the data. What is the values for date of birth? It didn't read because date of birth is a numeric variable. You are trying to insert a alphanumeric value which SAS cannot read it, right? So what we have to do is, yes, Diane. Yeah, sure. Okay, this one. Okay, a numeric variable. If a numeric, if you define any variable as a missing, any variable as numeric, all the missing values will be represented with dot. Numeric missing values will be represented with dot. Character missing values will be represented with blank space. Numerics, if any variable is numeric and there are missing values in that variable, it represents with dot, period symbol. If you define any variable as character and if there are any missing values, it's simply a blank space. Okay, now what we have to do is we need to write informat. So informat followed by on which variable we wanted to apply informat, date of birth. So I told you what is the purpose of informat? To read the data from the input. So now I have to read this data. Which data? I have to read this data. These dates. I have to read these dates. While reading, I have to make sure what format it is. I need to first understand the format type. What is this format type? This format type in SAS, it is called, it's a date, right? It's a date. And what is the total width occupied by this value? I mean, total number of columns or positions occupied by this value? It's 9, right? So I have to write 9 dot. It's the syntax, it's a rule. So informat is a statement. So it starts with a keyword called informat, followed by on which variable you wanted to apply this informat statement, followed by what is the format type. This format type will always depend on the input data. So here in the input data we have date, we have in the input data we have a date variable or date value, and the date value format is date 9. If the date is in this fashion, let's say 2 digits of a date and the 3 digits of, 3 letter or 3 letter month name followed by 4 digits here. If you have the dates in this fashion, we call it as date 9 dot. Now if I execute this one, can you tell me what will be the value stored in date of birth? Now if I execute this program, what will be the value that stores in date of birth? I have just used informat, that's it. So while to read this data, we use informat. So what it does, it will convert into days. It will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. Let me open this. It will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. Okay, because informats are used to read the data to make convert the non-standard into standard. Informats are used to convert non-standard into standard to make SAS understand, right? So when I say standard, it will convert into number of days. But we cannot understand this, right? So what we do is we use formats. We use formats for that. To make users understand, we use formats. See, informats are used when reading the data from the input. Formats are used to write the data to the output. Why? While writing the data, the reason is I can give here any format. Let's say you don't like this date 9 format. You want some other format. Let's say you want mmddyy10 dot. You can give that. Means while reading, you have to be very cautious. While reading the data, the format will always depend on the type, format type of the input raw data. But while writing the data, while writing these values to the output, there is no restriction. Whichever format you like, you can give it. So let me execute this. Now let me go back. See here. It's in month, year, dd, mm, sorry, mm first is month, mm followed by dd followed by year. And what is the width of this value? It's 10, right? If you look at this value width, it is 10. The total number of column positions occupied including special characters, it's 10. So the format type here is mmddyy 10 dot. 10 dot, 10 is width. Yes.
Forget the 10 dot, let's say back.
No, you have to some dates you have to remember, and there is also universal date format. I'll tell you in some. No, it won't. It will say it's a wrong informat. Let's say here if I give 9, okay, let me execute. It will tell there is no such. Ideally it has to. Let's see. Let's go to ideally it should not. Maybe let's see what will be the value. Okay, what it did is it took only 2 dates of a year, but actually for this there is a format called 8 dot. Actually, if you want only 2 dates of a year, you have to give 8 dot. Anyways, I'll tell you there is one universal date value. Even though you forget, that's fine. You can remember that one single format that will help you. See here, let's say you have the dates in this fashion. First you have date followed by month followed by year. Then you have to use this format dd mm yy 10 dot. If you have first month followed by date followed by year, you have to use month, date and year. If you have first year followed by month followed by date, then you have to use year, month and date. YYMMDD. All two letter for dates. For dates it's a 2 letter. For month also it's a 2 letter. For year also it's 2 letter. And the width in all these cases the width is 10. When I say width, the total number of columns or positions occupied by this value. And if the dates are in this fashion, let's say two digit date and followed by 3 letter length, I mean three letter month and followed by 4 digits here, you have to use date 9 dot. And if you have the dates in this fashion, just separated with hyphen, the same date, but if those are separated with hyphen, you have to use date 11 dot. 11 is nothing but total number of columns occupied by this data value, date value. Let's say you want dash in your output, then you have to use an additional D. If you want period symbols, you want to separate the year, month and date with period symbol, you have to use P, additional extra letter, extra character you have to use. If you want to separate, if you don't want any spaces, then you have to use N. N stands for nothing, no space. If you want to separate with space, it's a blank, right? So you have to use B. Let's say you don't remember, let's say you don't, I mean you don't want to remember all these things. There is something called any dt e32 dot, any dt, any date, irrespective of whatever format it is, you can use this. Okay, but this is used only in format statement. You cannot write any dt in format statement because all the data should be in a standard format. So in the format statement, whichever format, whichever you want, you have to use that. But 99% of the times in real time, you'll see only two values. One is date 9, the other one is mmddy10 dot. Majority of the times, you'll see only these two formats. One is date 9, the other one is mmddy10 dot. So it's very easy. So we can remember these two, not a problem, right? Now let's see here. Here I have, if you look at this data, we have total 4 variables information. One is name, second one is age, third one is date of birth, fourth one is date of hire. Date of hire. So date of birth and date of hire. So date of birth, if you look at the date of birth values, these date of birth values are in first two. If you look at the first two columns, these are dates followed by month followed by year. So I have to give dd mm yy 10 dot format. So how, see, we have where I wrote this format, I told you, right, we have to use informat statement and followed by on which variable you wanted to apply this informat statement or informat technique and what is the format type. But here we have two variables. One is date of birth, the other one is date of hire. No need of writing one more informat statement. We can continue in the same informat statement. Again followed by date of hire. For date of hire, the format type is date 9 dot, because here if you look at the format for date of hire, it's date 9. So you can give it. And format is for what? To see, informats are used to convert non-standard into standard. But if we want to convert again standard into non-standard, we have to use formats. Sriram, were you able to follow? I mean, you understood? Sriram?
Yes, yes, Ram.
Okay, cool. Okay, now let's say you wanted to calculate the number of, I mean, time took to, let's say let's calculate time took to get a job. Time took to get a job. I mean, what I mean that is, let's say he born in 1998 and he got job in 2016. Now if I ask you how much time it took from birth to get into job, so we have to take the difference of these two, right? Difference of these two, and we can come up. So 1998, 2016. So I wanted to do it using some programs in SAS. See, my data is in student details. So in the set statement, I have written student details. Student details. This is my input data set. In the data statement, I have written time took to get a job something. This is the output statement. First, I am calculating the number of days between date of hire and date of birth, because all the dates internally they are stored in the form of numbers. Numbers in the sense number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. So if I deduct date of hire variable, I mean if I subtract these two variables, date of hire minus date of birth, whatever result I get, that will be in the form of days only, right? 20,000 days minus 10,000 days, the answer would be 10,000 days. So now if I divide those days with 365.25, let's say in a year you have 365 days, that 25 is a leap year. I mean every year will have extra 0.25 days. So if I divide that days with 365.25, I get in years, right? Let me execute this. Okay. So we didn't get output days, date of hire, time took. The reason is I didn't execute this code. See, you got it. 18.222 something, 25 points, some 18 years, 25 years something. Okay. So what I've done is I took the difference of date of hire and date of birth. I got 656 days, 9372 days. I divided with 365. Now I got, so whatever value I got, these are years. Okay. This
The age and the date of birth will
get in, okay. Age and date of birth.
if the age is 26, 27, and 98, 90, and both is such a
But I mean 98. One is 98 date of birth, the other one is 90. So there is a difference of 8 years. Date of birth. Look at the date of birth values. One is 1998, the other one is 1990.
yeah.
So I mean, see if you look at the values, I mean here you have something 18 points, some 2222. You can round it off. If you want to round it off, or you want to consider only the integer portion, you have some functions called round and int. We'll see it in some time today only. Round and int. Round and int. Forget about this for the timing, not a problem. Okay. Okay, this is one important point you need to remember. See, while reading the data from the input, you have to make sure whatever format type you give here, you have to make sure that matches with this format, that matches with this raw data. Okay, but in the format statement, it's not mandatory. Whatever format you wish, you can change it. So that's the reason while reading the data, we use informat. While writing the data, we use formats. So while writing the data to the output, we can change the format, whichever format we like. But while reading, definitely you need to match the format type with the raw data. Okay. Anyways, in real time, this is not your job because you don't create any data sets. You work on huge data, right? But if you want to give base test certification exam, this is mandatory because they ask at least some questions. Only in base test certification, you will have only basic questions. All the at least one question from keep drop area, one question from function, one question from informat formats for sure. Okay. Let's talk about attrib statement. Attrib stands for attributes or properties of a variable. Now, if you take any name like any variable name like age or name or date of birth, whatever, generally a variable will have name, a variable will have a data type, a variable will have length, a variable can have informat, not for all the variables, but some variables will have informats, some variables will have formats, and you can also have label. These are called properties of a variable. If anyone asks you what are the properties of a variable or what are the attributes of a variable will have a name, it will have its own identity, it will have a name, it will have a data type, length, informat, format, and label. Okay. Now, why I have explained this, like why I have explained all these attributes or properties is, see in the previous programs, what we have done, we have written two different statements. For informat separately we have written, and for formats we have written separately, right? We have written these two statements individually. I mean, two different statements. Instead of that, I can write only one statement. I can write attrib. There is a statement called attrib. A-T-T-R-I-B. Attrib stands for attribute. So I wanted to define attributes for variable date of birth now. Attrib follow the syntax for attrib statement is attrib followed by on which variable you wanted to apply this attrib statement. On which variable you want to apply this attrib statement. Okay. I want to apply this attrib statement on date of birth. Followed by what is the informat? So here informat is dd mm yy 10 dot because the dates are in that fashion, right? So I have to write informat equals to format type and format equals to whatever format you wish while saving into output data set. Okay, and also you can give labels in the sense, let's say it is date of birth, but I wanted to change it to birth date, not renaming. This is not renaming a variable, just giving the description to that variable. So because in real time you see data sets with a lot of variables, let's say you have 100 variables. So when they create those data sets or these tables, they give some shortcuts like ID. But what exactly that ID, whether it is a student ID or customer ID or account ID, we are not sure. So generally along with variable names, they also try to give labels, descriptions to the variables. So if you want to give description to the variable name, you can use label option. Label equals to whatever you give in quotes, that will be treated as a label. So what we are trying to do in attrib statement, in a single statement, we are trying to define all the attributes, right? We are trying to define all the attributes. So in the previous programs, we wrote two different statements. For informat, we have written different statement. For format, we have written different statement. So instead of that, this is an alternative approach. This is an alternative approach. So if you want to give labels, you have to write, if you want to mention informats, format and labels, you need to write three different statements. In the previous program, let's say here you want to do the same thing. You need to write again label also here. Label for which variable you wanted to apply label. Let's say date of birth, and you have to write let's say birth birthday, whatever, something like this, birthday. So I have to write three different statements. But instead of that, see all these are properties of a variable, right? You can also call them as attributes. Informat, format, label. You are applying on a single variable, date of birth. All these are properties, or you can attributes. So I can use attrib statement. Attrib followed by on which variable you want to apply these attributes and what all those attributes. You can put it in a single statement. Let's execute this. Yes, Kalyan.
In this module, you are assigning the attributes to a variable.
Hmm.
Can you extract attributes from a variable?
Only attributes?
Yes. For example, if you wanted to use certain things, filter out certain variables based on certain attributes.
For example?
For example, you wanted a certain label for certain variables, you wanted to use it for something else, right? For further analysis.
See, if you want to explicitly, let's say, if I understood your question correctly, let's say, you wanted to assign the label information of, of some variable to some other variable. Is it something like that?
Okay. So in case, for example, let's say there are certain dates with this format.
Mm-hmm.
I want to extract only those.
That we can do it. That we can do it. Uh, so informats is not possible because the reason is internally it stores in the form of a number.
Yeah, like this same way.
No, that no. See, if you see, you can extract the information if the dates are lies between, let's say you want to pull the data from so and so date to so and so, that is possible, but specifically I want this particular date format, that is not possible. That is not possible. Like if the dates are in only in MMDDYY format, the only extract, that is not possible. Okay, that's all about dates. You now I hope you understood how to read dates in SAS or how SAS reads the date values. Let me give you one more example. Let me take data, some dt input date cards. So 01 Jan 1960, 31 December 1959, 05 Jan 1960. So what I have to do? I can write either attrib statement or information. Attrib date informat equals to date 9 dot. Now what it does? It stores the data internally. It will calculate the number of days, right? So see if the first value I have given is Jan 1st 1960. So the difference between Jan 1st 1960 to Jan 1st 1960 is 0. And the second value is 2nd Jan. The difference is 1. I mean, sorry, this is 31st December 1959. So back date. We went to back. I mean, we went to the previous day, right? And 5th Jan. The difference between 1st Jan 1960 to 5th Jan 1960 is 4. Okay, let's talk about time. Let's talk about time. Time. Yes, Kalyan.
What's the difference between data lines and cards?
Both are same. Uh, okay, let me explain that. So here I have used cards, right? You can use data lines or cards. The reason, I mean, I'll tell you. See, if you remember, earlier we used to in old days, in olden days, we used mainframes operating system, right? So and for the input we use punch cards. So when they developed this software, initially they developed the keyword cards, but starting from 9th version till 8th version it's card only. 9 the data lines will not work in SAS 8 version or 7 or 6. Data lines is an additional keyword, or you can say synonym kind of. Okay, they have introduced starting from 9th version. So since earlier, while to provide the input we used punch cards, so that's the reason the name cards has come. Now they have changed it. So you'll see in textbooks, cards and data lines are synonyms. You'll see if you go through any textbook, and if you see, they'll be writing like this, like cards and data lines are synonyms. But the reason for cards is punch cards, because earlier we used to give our input using punch cards. So cards and data lines are same here. Let's say you have some time. Let's say you have something like input some time variable, cards or data lines both are same. So 12 hours some 14 minutes 45 seconds, or 0 hours 0 minutes some 7 seconds, or 0 hours 1 hour, or let's say 1 hour some. Now I just want to make sure how SAS reads time values internally. Let's check how SAS, because in the interview, I mean, this is I don't think this will be asked for experienced people. Experienced in the sense if you have more than 5 years or something, but if you have some 2 years or 3 years, definitely they'll ask this kind of question as well. How SAS reads time values? How SAS reads date values? We just saw, right? It will calculate the number of days from Jan 1st 1960. Now we'll see how SAS reads time values. Any guess what it will do?
Yeah, it's usually how many minutes and seconds.
It will calculate the number of seconds. So the informat type here is, what is it? It's the time, right? And what is the width? What is the total number of columns occupied by this value? It's 8. So 8 dot. Just for time, it's time only. Now if I execute this, let's go to T2. So intentionally I have given some values. Let me show you. See, if you look at this, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 7 seconds. So the value is 7. So it will calculate the number of seconds from midnight, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So if we take this third example, it's 0 hours, 1 minute, 0 seconds. So 1 minute equals to 60 seconds, right? That's the reason you have 60. So internally, how SAS stores time values? It will calculate number of seconds from 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay. Let's take, sometimes you'll see a combination of date and time, timestamps. You'll see the variables timestamp. So let's say you have date time, whatever variable name is date time, something like date and time, like 13 hours, 14 and 56, or let's say you have the dates, you have the data in this fashion. So what do you have here? Both date and time, right? So the informat type here is date time, date time followed by width, the total number of columns occupied by this value. Even though you give little more, not a problem. Should not give less than the length of this, but even though you give little more, it's not a problem. Let me close all this.
Variable name date time is not given.
Sorry?
Attribute variable name you only the date is given.
Okay.
Date time.
So attrib date time. Okay, here. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take dt. So what it is trying? Can you tell me what is this? How date time values are stored internally. See, we saw how dates are stored internally. We saw how time values are stored internally. So dates are stored in the form of a number, days. It will calculate number of days from Jan 1st, 1960. Time values, it will calculate number of seconds from 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 second. Whatever this. Minutes or seconds? Let's see. Let's take one value. Let's take 0 hours, 0 minutes and 5 seconds. Let's take minutes as well. Let's take 001 Jan 1960, 0 hours. Let's take 5 minutes and 0 seconds. Let's take one more value. Let's take 1 hour, 01, and let's take 1 minute and 0 seconds. Okay, let me execute this. Let's open dt. Let's go to dt. Now let's see what it did. The first one is 901 1st Jan 1960, and it's 0 hours, 0 minutes, 5 seconds. So it's 5. Here it's 5 minutes. 5 into 60, 300. Here it's 1 hour and 1 minute. So 1 hour you'll have 3600 seconds plus 60, 3660. Let's take one more value and check. Let's take 2nd Jan. Let's take 2nd Jan. Let it be 0, only 2nd Jan. Okay, so it's almost a day, right? So let's see what is the value. It is 86,400, right? Okay, let's go to 80 calculator. So you have 24 hours in a day. 24 into each hour 36, 3,600. Is it correct? Yes, right? So how it is storing the values? Seconds, right? So let me take, let's say here now the same. See, because in recently, recently in the sense 2 to 3 weeks back, SAS India guys have asked this question. SAS India, SAS company, they have asked in one of the interviews these questions. All these questions they have asked. But they started interview with these questions. We don't, even though it seems to be very silly questions or simple basic questions, but they have asked. They started their interview with these questions. That's the reason I'm focusing on this. These three questions. These are very important. So I just added 1 minute, so it's 6. So now I hope you are clear. Now if anyone asks you, let's say, how SAS stores date values, time values, date time values. How SAS stores date values, time values, date time values. So date values, it will calculate, or you can say in the form of a number, numeric, all are numeric tokens only. It will calculate number of days from 01 Jan 1960, right? And time values calculates, or it will, or it calculates the number of days. Okay, it calculates the number of days. It calculates number of seconds from 0 hour, 0 minute, 0 second. Right? But what about date time values? It will, so it calculates number of seconds from what? From where? From 01 Jan 1960, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay? Fine? Okay. So we just saw related to date all the informats and formats, right? In the similar way we have for other, we have other formats as well. Let's see. You have a variable called salary. You have a variable called salary. Okay. So it contains some commas. It has some commas, right, in this number. SAS cannot read the data directly. Let's say, let me execute and show you. I have commented this statement. I have commented. I just in the input statement I just mentioned sal. Okay, let me open salary. It can't read. Why it can't read? Because a numeric variable cannot accept if a value contains commas, special characters. So we have to make SAS understand. So what we have to do? We have to use informats and formats. So here the informat type is simple. Since we have comma, it's comma. Comma followed by W. W stands for width, the total number of columns occupied by this value. Always we have to pick the maximum one. So here we have 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That will be 9. Next say you are given 20, not a problem. Because that means if you give 20, it means the maximum width of the salary value should be 20. It should not exceed 20. Up to 20 it can read. Okay?
Calculating in USD, right? Median salary, like what is that?
This one you are talking about. Okay.
But 70 million comes like lakhs and
When separator?
yeah.
Separator, no, it's standard. So generally it follows US thing.
So if you want to analyze it,
Yeah, yeah. You have something called, see all these formats, whatever we are talking now, these are all system defined or software defined informats. Okay, this comma 9 dot, date 9 dot, who defined this? SAS defined. And there is a procedure called proc format. Using proc format, users can define their own formats. Users can define their own formats and they can apply. Let's say you wanted to create a date which is J and Jan followed by date followed by 2 digits of a year. There is no such format in SAS. But if you want to define it, you can using proc format. Okay. So these are all software defined software keywords or formats. You can say system defined formats. So there is a procedure proc format. Using proc format, we can create our own formats. Those are user defined formats. And for example, let me show you small example. Proc format. So let's say gen. Let's say f equals to 1, m equals to 0. I'm just explaining to make you understand. So what I'm trying to say here is wherever there is f, wherever there is f, replace with 1, m wherever there is m, replace with 0. Something like format. Let's say proc print data equals to SAS help dot class format. I don't know, or if you take payroll master, you anyway we have an idea of payroll master, right? Format gender gen dot and have created this gen dot. Okay, now if you go to that payroll master, SAS user dot payroll master, you have information in gender, you have m and f, right? Now what I'm trying to do is I wanted to convert f into, I mean wherever there is f, I want to replace with, I mean display 1, and wherever there is m, replace with 0. I'm not changing in this code, in this procedure, I'm not changing anything to my input data set. I'm just reading the data. While reading, what happens? Okay, I didn't execute that above code. Format gender could not be loaded, right? Oh, okay. We all have the habit of what is a character variable. Generally, we mention dollar, right? But in case of proc format, you have to first mention dollar, followed by variable. Since there is error, format gen could not be loaded. Why? It's a character, so I have to give dollar. See here, instead of m and f, we got 0 and 1. In the same way for dates also, we'll change it. Whichever format, or whatever you wish, you can change it. Okay. For that, what you have to do is, let me show you. When I was in TCS, I gave a presentation. I created, I mean, I was part of this L&D department. See, when I was in TCS on 15 March 2013, I gave training. Actually, I worked for PNC Bank. PNC Bank is my client when I was in TCS. So I created this presentation, the informats and formats concepts. Informat form. This is, I mean, a corporate training. I mean, across TCS guys, I mean, for who are in India. So I used to provide trainings on SAS. So I have given all those examples here. So proc format for user defined. So I've taken all the codes and all. Our team, I mean, I took some. Our team is we are into retail analytics. So I took all those names and I created a example. A lot of stuff is there in proc. See all picture format to explain picture formats. I have pulled all the images from Google to make interesting. I mean, because when you teach the same topic, if you keep on teaching, they get bored. So I used to create some, these pictures to make them because it's the concept. There is a statement called picture. For that reason, I've done all these things. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. So we can also apply. There is a concept called traffic lighting. you can apply color. If the value is exceeding so and so, you can apply so and so color. And at that time it was 9.3, so I talked about 9. What's new in 9. So I have a lot of. I mean, I used to provide trainings in the organizations as well. So I prepared this when I was in TCS. It's a very big topic. I mean, they asked me to take session on proc format. Actually, ideally, it takes only 10 minutes to learn, but they asked me to take entire day. Actually, for one particular team, they are aggressively using formats for all their reports, the dates. I mean, especially the name of the folders, what they create. Dates are very important for them, and also automatic because we don't manually enter any date values. When we generally for reporting side, everything is automated. So if you just press F3, automatically the program needs to run, and it needs to create a folder with the current system date in so and so particular format, and all the reports needs to be sent into that folder, and automatically a mail should trigger, email should get triggered, and it needs to go to the concerned person. So everything should be automated. So in such, you have to develop a code in that way. So they are using proc formats a lot. So they want me. I mean, one of the manager asked me to take session for them. So I prepared all. So it's a one whole day training. Only proc. See, if I mean, we can pick any topic and we can keep on talking on whole day as well. It's not a problem. Even in formats and formats. If you want me to talk, I can talk the whole day as well. But it's not required. I mean, whatever we need in the industry, what we use on day-to-day basis, it's better to learn only those things. Unnecessarily dumping all things in our space. So anyways, so I mean we'll learn anyway how to create user defined format, then you'll understand. But for the time being, all the formats whatever we are seeing here, these are all system defined formats. I mean software, SaaS software people, they have developed SaaS software guys, and SaaS company has developed all these softwares, all these formats. And if you have decimals, let's say you have decimals, if you have decimals, then you have to use a format called w.d, w.d with dot decimal. So simply you have to specify. So what is width? Here what is width? Width is nothing but total number of letters or numbers including special characters. What is the, you have to calculate the total number of positions occupied by this value. So including decimals, including special characters, numbers, everything. So that's the width. So if you take the last number 1, 2, 3, you have total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have only 11 actually. Here you have only 11, but I have given 14. No issues. Even though you give a little more, also not a problem. And what does this 3 means? It means the maximum number of decimals. See, in this case you have 3, in this case you have 2, in this case you have 1. So the what is the maximum one? 3, right? So I have given 3. Okay. Then it reads data correctly. There is no issue with that. I mean, it can read the data properly. Okay. If you have dollar symbol, just you need to write dollar. That's it. Instead of comma, you have to mention dollar. Okay, that's it. There is no other format. It's simply dollar. And if you have both dollar and comma, then also it's dollar. If you have only comma, it's comma. If you have dollar, then you have to use dollar format. If you have dollar and comma, then also it's dollar only. If you have euro symbol, it's euro. Okay, but it's fine. So coming to percentage, if you have percentage sign, I mean, let's say 12%, 1%, 78%, you have to simply write percent. That's it. Percent followed by width. It's very simple topic actually. I mean, just only what you have to remember is, see, in case of informats and formats, only 2 things you have to remember. One is which, I mean, that attrib statement. Second one is format type. That's it. Because you have to convert non-standard into standard. For that, you have to use informat statement. And again, for user understandability, we have to convert into non-standard. For that, we have to use format statement. Or else, you can club the both informat statement and format statement. You can club and you can write it in attrib statement in the same single statement, right? That's all about informats and formats. But to be honest, you don't use Informat. Very rare, in once in a year you might use Informat, but format we use it. Format we use. Informat we don't use, but format we use. See, I mean, when you use format, I'll tell you. Let's say, for example, well, let's take an example of SAS user.payroll master. Now, I wanted to convert this date of hire and date of birth into a different format. I don't want this format. This is already existing SAS dataset. Already existing dataset. I wanted to change the format of this date variable. I want to change the format of this variable, of this date variable. Let's see how to do that. See, I'm not reading data from my input. See, in these examples, I used to provide the data, raw data, and we used to read it, right? Now, I have already existing SAS dataset and I wanted to read that. In that case, informats are not required because it's already existing. At the time of creating the dataset, they might have used already informats, right? So let's say data compare set SAS user dot payroll master, SAS user dot payroll master. Here I can apply format date of hire. I wanted to change it to some mmddyyy10 dot format. Now what this program does is it will read the data, input data from SAS user dot payroll master, okay, and it will write it into pay. While writing, it will apply this format. Let's go to pay. So the format has changed for date of hire. Earlier it was date time. Now we have changed the format. So if you don't like any formats in already existing data sets, then you can use the format in the data statement. I mean, you can read the data, input data, and after that you can apply format statement. And informat is not used when we are using set statement. Along with set, we cannot use informat. Along with set, we don't use informat because informat is used only when raw data is available. When we manually enter the data or when we are trying to read some text files outside SAS environment. And when you are trying to read the data, then raw data, then we use either it can be internal raw data or external raw data. Internal raw data means we manually provide it. See, in the card, after cards or data lines, I manually return some data, right? It's internal raw data. When you say external raw data, if the data is stored, if the same data is in some text file, let's say it is in text file, it's an external raw data. Okay. So I hope this concept is clear. Informat and format. It's a simple concept. Any questions, Satish, Sriram? Vishwajit? Okay. No, we don't scrub using informat format statements. We scrub data using functions. Using functions, we scrub the data. We'll see anyway. Next topic is functions only. See, one of the important topic in SAS, functions. It's very important. From the interview standpoint also, it's very important, as well as when you work in real time also, we use functions a lot. Okay, functions are very important. So we use functions for data manipulations. Okay, data manipulations or data manipulation using functions. Data manipulation using functions. For example, let me take any of these. take some data set. Let me take this. Okay. Now look at this. Now, see, if you want to apply the same manipulation for all the values of a variable, let's say you wanted to apply, let's say some student name in this case. Now, if you look at this data set, there is no such variable which is talking about gender information. I mean, if you look at this data set, you have student name, you have course number, you have paid, you have course code, you have location, begin date, teacher, course title, days. You have a lot of information. But let me ask you a question. Now I want how many female students enrolled and male students enrolled. Let me ask you this question. Is there any variable which is saying, is there any variable here, gender? No. So how will you tell now? Yes. So you have to extract that Mr. and Mrs. and you can easily tell, right? So you can easily count. So I want to extract only Mr. or Mrs. So you have to manipulate that string. Now you have to apply some operations on that string and you need to only retrieve Mr. or Mrs. whatever. Okay. Let's say, I mean, you want to remove all the special characters from this. You wanted to remove some unwanted characters from this string. Or you wanted to replace wherever there is MRS, MS, I wanted to replace with some Mr. I mean MS or MRS, or you wanted to replace characters, or you wanted to remove some characters from a string, or you want to convert the entire name into uppercase, or let's say you wanted to create two different fields, one is first name and last name. Based on this data, you wanted to create first name and last name. Okay, so we can use, I mean, if you want to do any manipulations, or you want to create some derived variables or new variables based on the existing variable, we can use functions. Okay, let's see examples, then you'll understand. Let me take an example. Let's take functions. The first let me talk about cases. I mean cases. It is upcase, lowercase, and prop case function. First, let me talk about upcase, lowercase, and prop case function. Okay. So I want to convert. Let me take a small example. Data underscore. Okay, let me explain underscore null concept as well. Here it is important to know. Let's say name equals to Sachin. See, if you look at underscore null underscore, I have in the data set, in the data statement, I have used underscore null underscore. It means, what does it mean? It means don't create any data set. Please don't create any data set. If I use a keyword called underscore null underscore, it doesn't create any data set. So why do we use underscore null underscore? We'll see in a short, in 1-2 minutes we'll look at that. So now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to assign in the variable called name, I'm trying to assign a value called Sachin Tendulkar, right? So I want to, if I execute this, it doesn't create any data set. It doesn't create any data. Let's go to log. Did it tell you any, did it give you any notes that it created any data set? Generally, if you write here some data set name, it will tell, okay, data set A has created. But we didn't create any data set here, right? Okay. But now I want to see the value stored in name. Even though I'm not creating a data set, I want to see the values stored in the name variable. So you have to use put statement, put followed by variable name. Put followed by variable name. Now if I execute, Still, does it create a data set? No. So where you will see the value which is that is stored in name, you'll see in log window. Go to log. You have such intent. So without creating a SAS data, let's say you want to apply some logic on the bigger SAS data set. You want to apply a logic. Let's say you have a logic and you wanted to apply on this bigger data set. So before applying that logic, you want to test it, whether it works or not. Let's say you wanted to test it. The logic, what you are thinking, let's test that logic. So for that, what you do is, you don't create any data set. You take some random, you try to create some temporary variable and you try to assign some value and you apply your logic. For example, now I want to apply upcase function and see how my values are coming. Let's say this is your input data. Okay, I wanted to apply upcase function on this name and see how my results are coming. Let's say for example, so there is a function called upcase. Upcase function will convert the text into uppercase letters. Simple. Upcase is nothing but it will convert the text into uppercase letters. So upcase on which variable you wanted to apply this function? I wanted to apply on name. Okay. After applying this function, you have to store the result somewhere, right? You have to store the result because after applying this function, it will give some result. So you have to store that. So you need to mention the variable name here. Let's say name 1. So and here let me write name 1. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm just testing my logic. What is the logic here? I'm applying the upcase function on the variable name, and I just want to see the results. I just want to see how the results are coming. Are the results coming as expected or not? Let me execute this. Or that one, if I use this, if I don't use this, what will happen is, let me show you output first. See, Sachin Tendulkar followed by it convert. I have used upcase function, so it converted my entire text into uppercase. But if you want to the same result, if you want to split into multiple lines, let's say you want to move to the next line, then I have to use /. Now if I execute, let's go to log again, see the output. The result will come in the next line. For readability purposes. So now the logic is fine. It's working absolutely fine, right? Now let's apply on the entire data set. Data followed by uppercase set. My data set is in /user.all. All is my name of the data set. And run. I wanted to apply this function. So on which variable you want to apply this function? Let's say you wanted to convert all the values of student name into capital letters, into uppercase letters. Right here, what is that? Student name, right? Student underscore name equals to upcase of student name. What we are trying to do is, we are reading the data from this data set, input data set, and we are writing into this output data set. This is my output and this is my input. So while reading, I wanted to apply a function called upcase on my student variable. On this student variable, I want to apply upcase function. So what will happen is all the values will be converted into uppercase. And where do you want to store that results? If you want to replace the existing variable, let's say you wanted to store the results in the same variable itself, then the input variable and output variable, or source variable and target variable, should be same. If both are same, then it will overwrite the existing variable. If you mention a different name, let's say you have given a different one. Let's say you have written here student name underscore 1. Okay, and let me write here, let's for the time being keep equals to student name. You don't want all for the time being. Let's say you don't need to read, I don't want to read all. I'll just write student equal to name. Now if I execute this program, how many variables I will have in uppercase data set? Total number of variables in this output data set, uppercase. two, right?
Yeah.
One is student name, the other one is student name 1. Because anyway we are reading only student name from the input data set. And I'm applying upcase function on the student name variable, and I'm storing, I'm saving the results in the same variable, right?
But when the data student, by the time it executes that line, already everything is in uppercase.
Where?
Do not be poor.
Mm-hmm.
Because you initially said that student name goes, now student name becomes all caps.
No, actually,
First
okay.
one.
Okay, let's say now it reads this data, right? It reads this data. Okay. Now I am creating one. Let me execute it.
I thought that you were reading both.
No. See here, this is the source variable, and this is what I created now. So I converted all my values into uppercase. So like if you want to replace the existing source variable, you can do that, or else if you want to create a new variable also, that's fine. It depending on the requirement. Let's say you wanted to overwrite the existing variable information, then the source name and target name should be the same. If you give this, the source variable name and target variable name same, then it will overwrite. Okay, but if I give a different name, it will not overwrite. It creates a new variable. So here I tested and it is working fine. So I can go ahead and apply on entire data. So that's for that reason what we do is we first test, we take some one value, one string, and we try to test it, and if it is working fine, we go with the entire data. So we don't want to create any data set. For that reason I have used null. I'm not creating any data set. And this is for testing purpose. Now if you want to convert into lowercase, what you have to do? Simply lowcase. You have to use a function called lowcase. You have to use a function called lowcase. Okay, all the values will be converted into lowercase. Okay. Now let me take crop case. There is one more function, crop case. Crop case. Let's talk about crop case. So you have upcase function to convert the letters into uppercase, right? To convert the letters into uppercase, we use upcase function, and to convert the letters into lowercase, you have to use lowercase function, and prop case. Any guess what is prop case? Yes. So prop case is used. If you use prop case, what it does is it capitalizes the first letter of every word into uppercase. Rest all will be in lowercase. Example. Let me write. Let me take an example. Data underscore null underscore. Okay. Let's say name equals to. Let's say Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. Okay. Now let me apply prop case. So prop case equals to, not equals to, you can okay, you can write prop case equals to prop, name of the function is prop case. On which variable you have to apply? Name is the variable here, right? I'm applying on prop put prop case. I'm just testing here. Now go to log. See here, the first letter of each word in a character expression or in that string is converted into uppercase, rest all in lowercase. Okay. So these three functions are related to cases actually. Case function, we call them as case functions, or you can simply say upcase, lowercase, propcase, or whatever. Now, let me tell you the application knowledge. Let's say you have a data set. Let's see how these functions will help you. Let's say you have a data set called product, input, product name, sorry, that's working. Okay. So let's say product name is software related product. So ST, let's say you have completely in lowercase, hardware related, hardware, or you can simply say, let me, anyway we use like operator and all, right? Let's talk about that. Let's say here bank name, let's say here bank name, and here you have some bank, let's say HDFC Bank Ltd. Okay, or let's say here you have bank HDFC, and here you have something called HDFC Bank. Yeah, HDFC Bank. Now HDFC, simple. ICICI. What I have ICICI, something like this. Okay, and also branch. Let's take branch. Let's take Panjagutta. Okay. Kukatpalli. Sanakori. Okay. You can take anything. A high-tech city. Okay. Let's take Madhapur, Manikonda. Random examples are given. Character variable, and it has some spaces. So if you want some format modifier, forget about this. Whatever I'm trying to write here. I mean, maybe you might not understand at this point in time all these things. I'll explain you later. Okay, now you have some data. Let's say you have this data, bank name and branch. Now I want to read all the HDFC. What I want is, I want to read all my bank names and their branches if it is HDFC related record. Read HDFC bank records from, let's say this is branch details, for example, from branch details dataset. Read HDFC bank records from branch details dataset. So how will you do that? Data from HDFC branch, HDFC branch details. Set our input is in our input data set is in branch details. Okay, where where branch name, like, what do you give here, like, let's say HDFC, Wherever there is HDFC, I need it. But here HDFC is not stored in the raw data. HDFC is not in standard format. Now if I execute this, I'll have only one data. See, we got only one record, but we have many, right? We have many. This is also related to HDFC. This is also related to HDFC. This is also related to HDFC. So what you can do is you can apply either upcase or lowcase function. Let's say you have applied upcase function, upcase on bank name. Now what upcase function will do is it will convert all these values into uppercase and it will compare with this. Okay. Now go to HDFC branch 1 dataset. Now you have all data. It won't modify the source data. Just while reading the data, it converts temporarily all the bank names into uppercase and it will compare with this value. You understood? So this is application knowledge. When we use this case function in the sense, if the data is not entered in a standard fashion, then you have to use functions and you have to compare the values. Got it? Any questions? Vishwajit, Satish, Sriram?
No, Ram.
No, no.
So you are able. I mean, you are able to follow.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Acha, Ram, here, just few commands above we have like null underscore, and there we have to use put statement, is it? Put.
Okay. This put statement, see, if we use underscore, see, underscore is used only for testing purpose. So to check whether our logic is correct or not. Okay, I mean, so that for that you use that, and put statement to see the results of this variable. So if you don't use put statement, and if you execute, you will not know what is the value that is stored in this variable. If you want to see the results of this value, the value stored in a variable, then you have to use put statement. Put statement displays the results of a variable in the log window, or the value stored in a variable in a log window. It will show up in the log window. That's it. It will not store anywhere. It will not store anywhere. So this upcase function, lowcase will, I mean, you can use in this fashion, and you can compare the values and you can pull the data. Okay. So let
Ram, here one more thing.
Yes.
Instead of upcase here, can we use lowercase as well?
Yes. Instead of upcase, you can use lowcase, and this value should be in lowercase letter HDFC.
Okay.
Okay. If it is lowercase, then you have to use in lowercase. Whatever the value which you are comparing, you have to use in lowercase. Sriram, you are asking something?
Yeah, I mean, when we use the put statement, we see that output in the log only, right?
Yes, we see in only.
Why not in the output window? I mean, what is the difference?
It's not a procedure, it's a data step. Only procedures, if you run any SAS procedures, it shows the output in the output.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. Same program? No, you'll get. I did you give two spaces after limited? You have to give two spaces there. I think you have given only one. See, after each value, I have given two spaces, not one. I mean, there are some rules for this. I'll let you know later. Not required at this point in time. That's the reason I didn't tell you. Maybe you have given only one space. The data values should be separated by at least two spaces when we are using ampersand format modifier. the rule actually. That could be the reason. Or else you can do one thing. Let me ping you that. You can try. Did you receive? Okay. No. Here in the chat window itself. Can you copy and run it? After that, check the dataset whether it got created properly or not after running the dataset. Ranches.
Yeah, I think
Okay, maybe it didn't. I mean, see, actually, in copy paste error that one. I mean, while copying and pasting, maybe some spaces are missed here and there. Anyways, I'll send this code so that you can practice later. Okay. So you understood the concept, right?
the double space basically pushes it to the next.
Yeah. You mean it created properly? Huh? Just you check the data set once. I mean, whether it's created properly or not. Not yours. After giving my code. No? I think it is in open mode. Sorry. The semicolon you have to put it after all the observations. Okay. Anyways, let's go to the next program. Uh, See here, you have Sri and Ram, and these two are, there are two words, right? There are two words. Now what I want is, I want to create two different variables. One is first name, and the other one, the next one is last name. I want to create two variables from this name. In the name variable, I have Sri Ram. I want to create two different variables, first name and last name. So there is a, now I have to extract only Sri from this Sri Ram string, and I want to extract Ram from this Sri Ram string, and I have to store it in last name. So how many words we have in this name? Two words. In words, I'm talking about words. Right? There are two words, right? Total. First word. What is the first word? Sri. What is the second word? Ram. Right? Okay. And words are separated with what? Space. Words are separated with spaces, right? So there is a function called scan function, SCAN, scan function. What it does is it extracts words. It extracts words from a given character expression or a string. It extracts words. So scan function is used to extract words from a character expression, or you can say string. I mean words from a character expression. So this is called a character expression. You can call it as a character expression, or you can also call it as a string. Both are same. So how to use this function scan of? On which variable you wanted to apply this function? I wanted to apply on name. Control comma. Which word you want to extract from this? First word. So you have to mention the word number. And what is the delimiter separating the words here? Space. So just you give space. Just in quotes. Third argument is just nothing. You don't give anything. And coming to last name, scan of name comma 2 comma. That's it. Now in the put, what I have to write? One is name. You want to test the results, right? First name and last name, right? Let me execute. See here, this is the string, input string, and I have split first name is Sri and Ram is the second name. If you still want, you can do like this. I mean, name is, you can put it in quotes, something like this. Name is first name is last name is. See, this is the variable, right? This is the variable, but if I put something before that variable, if I write something in text, in the put statement, if I write anything in quotes, any text in quotes, it will print as it is. And let's go to log, you'll get something like this. Name is Sri Ram, first name is Sri, last name is Ram. I mean, in put statement, if you put anything in quotes, that will come as it is. And this variable value, whatever you have in the variable, you will get it for more readability purpose. So let me give you a task, because see, scan is very important function. Without this question, almost there won't be any interview, to be honest. Like there will, scan is very important. I'll tell you, I'll give you some case. Now I'll ask you some cases. You tell me. Let's say you have email address. I mean, I'll tell you the, I mean, I'll ask you the interview questions what they have asked from the scan area, so that you'll understand. Let's say you have data, some mail IDs. You have mail IDs. Input. Let's say you have a variable called email ID. Cards or data lines, you can use anything. Sri.ram at, let's say, oracle.com. Let's say Srikant I at, is it correct? Srikant? Okay, at ibm.com. Okay. Kalyan dot, forgot actually. Kalyan dot, let's say some, sorry, T. Okay, let's say T at some, let's say some google.com. So let's take these three. This is one of the interview question, and also it's a standard interview question. I gave you email IDs. Now what I want is, I want to create three different variables. One is first name, second one is last name, third one is company in which he is working. So here Oracle, IBM and Google are different companies. Okay. So Sri in the first name, if you talk about first name, I need to have Sri, Srikant and Kalyan. In the last name, I need to have Ram, Taniki and T. Okay. So we have to apply scan function and extract the names. Okay. Here, what are how I mean here what are the delimiters here? I mean separators. At the rate is one separator. Dot is one separator, right? Okay. Let's see data. Some names set or my input is in mail ID, right? Mail ID.
Yeah, I'm typing the basic process.
Not coming.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's okay. So set mail ID.
It's not changing. Moving to the next line.
Okay, fine. So let's say first name, first underscore name. It's a standard interview question actually. They have asked many times in many of the interviews the same question. First name equals to scan of source variable, email ID, comma 1, and what delimiters we have here?
One is short, one is long.
Mention all those delimiters here. The meaning is, if you mention the delimiters, it means whenever you come across with these special characters, either dot or yet, please separate it as a word. So how it works? This one, Shri is one word, Ram is one word, Oracle is one word, Com is one word. There are total 4 words. So it all depends on the special characters you mention in the third argument. Third argument. Here third argument is dot and yet. And these are called delimiters. So these are called delimiters. In SAS, separators are called delimiters. In SAS, separators are called delimiters. And let me tell you that syntax for scan function is output variable equals to scan of input variable comma word number. It's an integer actually. It's an integer. Integer is not, it's a word number. So which word you wanted to extract? Okay, that's the second argument, and the third argument is delimiter, delimiter or delimiters. So there are total 3 arguments. Okay, so there are 3 arguments. Let me ask other folks. I mean, guys, were you able to hear Satish, Shravan? I'm sorry, yeah, okay. Satish, were you able to hear?
Yes, Ram.
Okay, okay. Maybe Vishwajit, I mean, you have to check. Okay. Okay, see, okay, come back here. I mean, okay. So the first argument is input variable. Second argument is word number. Word number is nothing but an integer. If it is first word, you have to give 1. If it is second word, you have to give 2. And the third argument is delimiters. Delimiters are nothing but separators. Separators. What are all the separators that you wanted to use here? I mean, what all separators you have in this string? We have dot and at. So I have given that. It means whenever you come across with dot or yet, please separate the words. Please treat it as a delimiter and separate the words. Yes, Kalyan.
How do you use space and tab?
Space and tab. So I explained for space. Just don't give anything. Even though you ignore this, not a problem. You ignore this, it's not a problem. It's by default, if space is a delimiter, no need of mentioning. It's an optional argument. The third one is optional argument if the words are separated with spaces. Even though if it is a tab space, it's a optional. So default, we don't mention anything. But if there are any other special delimiters, commas or ayat or all this, you have to mention. Explicitly, you have to mention. But it's best practice to mention the delimiters. That's the reason I didn't tell you that it's an option. Okay, it's always best practice to write all the arguments in the scan function. The first argument is source variable, second argument is word number, and the third argument is delimiters. And here last name equals to scan of source variable is email ID, and second word I wanted to extract, and they are separated with dot and yes. And then the same way organization name or company name equals to scan of email ID, comma 3, comma. So I created 3 different variables. Let me go there. Check. You have split the email ID now into 3 different variables: first name, last name, and organization name.
.com.
Sorry?
.com.
.com is not required. I mean, we just need only
We have
first name, last name, and organization name. So this is very important actually. They will be asking this question. So let me give you one more question. This is also one of the interview questions. Let me ask you. Let's say you have name, input, and player name, whatever. I will just take or just name. Let's take only name. Yes, Kalyan.
office IDs also. Sometimes you are not the only one with the same. So there will be like some three, some two attached. How do you remove that?
Compress function. Use compress and remove the numbers. You have a compress function. You can remove numbers, or you want to remove special characters, or you want to remove characters. Anything you can do using compress function. We'll see that. So let's say name. Let's say you have, for example, let me take. Okay, Sachin Tendulkar. Some Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. Mr. Okay. Let's say you have Sonia Gandhi. Let's say you have let's say you have Rahul Dravid. Now this is also one of the interview question they have asked actually some time back. This is also one of the important interview questions. Now I want, based on this salutation, Mr. and Mrs., I want to find out how many males are there, how many females are there. I have to extract now. See, I have to extract this Mr. from this string, and I have to extract this Mrs. from this string, and I have to extract Mr. from this string. And later on, you can run some procedure and to find out how many Misters are there, how many Mrs. Right? Now we have to extract that Mr. How to do this? We have to use scan function only. So how to use the scan function here? So let's say salutation equals to, tell me scan of name is my variable. What should I give here? See, in the first name, if you look at the first one, we have 4 keywords. But here you have 3 keywords. You cannot use 3. If you use 3, here you'll get 10 liters. If you use 4, you'll not get anything here. So read from reverse order, -1. Not from left to right, read from right to left. Okay, read in reverse order. Okay. No, we can use like. Then see how to use that in your, let's say you don't want to use functions, you can use conditional statements and you have to search for a keyword. If that keyword is present and you have to flag it, so you can do that. But this is the best approach and previous approach. So now let me execute this. We go to name. Okay. See here, I didn't give anything. I didn't give any delimiter. By default, it assumed they have spaces, right? So it's always better to give, even though you give it, not a problem. But this is these two cases are very important from interview standpoint because they ask a lot. I mean, the scan functions, particularly scan, and there is one more function called substring. Now we'll discuss that. These two are very important from interview standpoint. Okay. Scan is talking about words, to extract words. Now substring will talk about extract. If you want to extract characters or group of characters, then we use substring function. Let me tell you what how it the application knowledge of substring. To extract characters or group of characters from a character expression or string. To extract characters or group of characters from a character expression or string, we use substring function. Example: data underscore null underscore, let's say name equals to Sriram. Okay. Okay. Let's take, I want to extract first 3 characters. First 3. Let's say I want to extract only first 3 characters. So there is a function called substr. Substr in the sense substring function. Substring means only part of the string. Name of my variable is name 1, 3. The second argument is from which character you want to start extracting. I want to start extracting from first character. The third argument is how many characters you want to extract. Syntax for substring is output variable equals to substring of input variable comma start position comma number of characters. One second. Just here. Here, yeah, we'll see that those examples as well. Give me 1 minute. We'll see those examples. So see, what I'm trying to do here is put first. See, I have given name. I'm applying substring function 1, 3. 1 is nothing but start position. Means from which character you want to start extracting. I want to start extracting from first character onwards. How many characters you want to extract? I want SR, SRE. These 3 characters, these 3 I wanted to extract. So this is nothing but not till 3. It means I want to extract 3 characters. Suppose if I say 3, 3, it means start extracting from third position. And number of characters you want to extract from third position is 3. So it will be 3, 4 and this space. You have EE space. Now let me execute this and show you the output. So yeah, sorry. Okay. Now let me give you an example. If you understood, let me check whether you understood or not. Let's say data department name input dept underscore dept. Let's say here department. So let's say you have 101 HR department, 102 finance department, 103 some admin department. Now what I want is, I want to create two new variables. One is department number, the other one is department name. Department number and department name. So how to create this? I mean, do we have any separators? Do we have any separators here? We don't have, right? So how to get the output for this? Let's say, I mean, you want, I can write it here as well. So dept underscore number, department number equals to sub substring of, I have to apply on department name, right? So Sriram, you have some question?
No, no, Ram.
So 1 comma 3, right? 1 comma 3. Okay. Now department name. Why 1 comma 3? Because we have to start extracting. Department numbers are in first 3 positions, right? So you have to start extracting from first character and you have to extract total 3 characters. Now department name. So the same input variable is department name. Sorry, input variable is department name only. So let's say department code, whatever. Number and department code. So you have to start extracting from 4th character, right? How many characters? It's not a fixed weight, right? Till end. Don't give the, I mean, don't give anything. Simply leave it. Leave the argument. Leave the third argument. Don't tell number of characters. If you ignore it till the end, it will read from 4 till end. Okay. Okay. Now in the interview they will ask you this question, not this one. For sure, I'm sure they'll ask you this question. Let's say you have in reverse order. Now you have to tell me how to create these two variables. Okay, we cannot read actually using a substring. We cannot read, only scan. We can read it in reverse order. A substring we cannot read it in reverse order. No. That we can compress and we can see, we can eliminate, but let's say there are some here ABC here as well, then you cannot, right? So okay, let's see, let's come up with some logic. I'll tell you the logic. Let's, okay, what is the length of this string? It's 5. What is the length of the string? 10, na? Okay. What is the length of this string, the third one? It's 8, right? Okay. So you have to deduct how many characters? 3, right? Deduct from length 3 from each and every value. Okay, what is the value here? 2. What is the value here? 7. Here 5, right? Okay. Uh, see now, uh, see what I have to do is I have to find the length. I have to start reading from first character till which character? Second character. In this case, first 7. In this case, first 5, right? How I'll get that 2, 7 and 5? Subtract last 3 characters. So how you'll get the length? There is a function called length. There is a function called length. Length function. Okay. So length, what it does is it will return the number of, it will calculate the number of characters in a string, right? So let's apply this logic now. Now here, what I have to start extracting from first position, but here I need to get 2. Here 7, 5, right? So how I'll get here? LENGTH, length of department name, right? And you have to deduct 3 from the length, right? Minus 3. So here length of department name. You take HR101, it is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. So here the value is 1, 2. Let's take finance 102. Length of department name is 10. Deduct 3. So it will be 7. 1, 7. Okay, now let's see about this. I want to read this. Only codes. Department, it's a river. One is okay. So I want this is department name, or let's say this is department code. We want department number. Okay, how I'll get department number? Now you have to start extracting from this here. In this case, third character. In this case, 7th. In this case, 5th. So how you got this 2, 7 and 5? So here we have to start extracting from 8. Here we have to start extracting from 6. We have to start extracting from 3. So how I'll get it? So take length of department name minus 5 minus 2. If you deduct 2, it will start extracting from third. 5 minus 2 is 3. So I have to extract from third position, right? So total number of characters are 2. So now the total length is 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. You have to start extracting from 8 character only. Did I confuse you? Little tricky question. So they will definitely ask these questions. See, in the interview, they will not simply straight away ask you what is the purpose of stm function, what is the purpose of substring function. They will not ask in that way. They will give you some text and they will ask you, I want this output. So how will you do it? HR101 ABCD. What do you want now? So in that case, if let's say you have mixed lengths, then you go for first you calculate the length. If the length of the string is 9, do so and so. You'll have to write logics. You have to write do loops. If the length is 1, if the length is 5, apply this logic. If the length is 6, apply this logic. If the length is 7, apply this logic. So you have to write n number of conditional statements. We'll see that when we talk about conditional statements. We'll talk on all those. Let me ask everyone. Satish, Satish, Sriram.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you want me to continue or stop? Because
You can continue. Yeah, you can
it's
continue.
up to you. I mean, because I have to take the.
No, no,
You
I
can
want to
continue, right? Okay. Let me finish then character functions at least today. Okay. But make sure you install the software and practice.
Yeah, Ram. Today I'll come at around 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. Because otherwise, see, the syllabus will keep on accumulating. If you don't practice, then again you have to attend the next batch as well. I have seen the problems people have faced many times. So make sure you practice. Okay, let's talk about how to join strings. How to join strings. Let's see how to join strings. Okay, so we have something called concatenation. Concatenation. Using concatenation, similar to Excel also we have concatenation, right? Same thing. But in SAS, how to do that? Let's see how to do it in SAS. So concatenate, using concatenation, join strings using concatenation concept. So for that we have cat function, cat s function, cat x function, and also we have pipe symbol. There are total four ways we can join strings. Let me find this. Let's say, let me take a small example. So name equals to, let's say, let me take Sriram. Let me take Sri space space. Oh, give me 1 minute. Maybe this guy is also facing with audio. Why people are facing with audio? Oh. So let's say you have Sri a string and first name. Let's say this is first name. There is one more variable. Let's say last name, and I have space space Ram. So I have given two blanks after Sri, and these are called. If you have blanks after a string, we call them as trailing blank. If you have blanks prior to this Ram, we call it as leading blanks. Leading. So we have something called trailing blank and leading blank. Trailing and leading. Trailing and leading. Trailing and leading. So trailing blanks after the string. Trailing blanks. Example. Let me take. After the string, we have some blanks. It is trailing before the string. blanks after the string, blanks before the string. Now why there is no sound for only two folks, and for other folks they have sound? I don't understand. Pratap, are you able to hear? Hello? Pratap? I think Satish is able to hear. Sriram is able to hear. I'm not sure why others are not able to hear. Okay. Pratap is saying okay. It's fine. Let's see. Okay. Full name equals to first name concatenation. So I can use this symbol, pipe symbol, followed by last name. Okay. Or else I can use cat of first name comma first name. So what I'm trying to do here is and what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to add these two strings, first name and last name. So I can use either pipe symbol or I can use cat function. If I use pipe symbol, just simply you have to mention the variable names and you need to separate with pipe symbol. And the cat function, you just need to pass the arguments of the variables and you need to separate with comma. Let me put yeah, I'll tell you the difference of these two. So if we use pipe symbol or cat symbol, it includes, it simply concatenates. It will not remove any trailing or leading blanks. It simply concatenates. If you want, you can let me take the length of this and show you. Let's take length length of full name, okay, and also let's take pipe equals to, which is cat equals to, and let me write here pipe and cat. See, we have two spaces after Sri and two spaces before Ram. So if I take length, I need to have total 4 plus 3, 4 plus 4, 8, 8 plus 2, 10, 10 plus 2, 12. It's 12. Now what I want is, I want to remove the leading and trailing blanks. I want to remove leading and trailing blanks. So you have a function called cat s. So instead of cat, you just use cat s function. Cat s function. Cat s. Simple cat s, that's it. So what cat s function will do? Now take the length of on this cat s function, let's take the length. So cat s equals to length of cat s. Now let me execute. So what is the length now? 8. What it did? It removed all the leading and trailing blanks, right? But if you look at log, I have Sri and Ram. Let's say you wanted to separate these words with some special character. You wanted to join the strings, but you wanted to separate with some special character. Then in that case, you have to use cat x. Cat x, and you need to mention the first argument for cat x would be the delimiter. What is the delimiter? Which delimiter you wanted to separate? That you have to mention. Okay, now let me. Okay. So here there is Sri comma Ram. Okay. So basically cat pipes, you can use pipe symbol, you can use cat function or cat s or cat x. So pipe symbol, okay, and cat function, it simply joins strings without removing any leading or trailing blanks, right? Cat s function, it joins strings and removes both trailing and leading blanks, right? And cat x, it joins the strings and separate the strings with some special character, right? It's all about this pipe, cat, and all these things. Understood? See how to replace characters. How to replace characters. Sorry?
In the last
Uh-huh.
outline, we have written 5 cat.
Which one? Here? Pipe, cat, cat x, cat s. What? Why do?
That's the same also.
Which one?
Just that line.
No, I have just written like that. You can do anything. I have just given. These are all the variables which I have created in the above program, and I'm trying to see the output of those variables in the log. Let's see how to replace characters in a string. Using, there is a function called translate. Translate. Data underscore null underscore, let's say name equals to some Sachin. Now what I want is, I wanted to replace wherever there is a, I want to replace with small a, I wanted to replace with capital A. Let's say for example, 1 equals to, there is a function called translate. Translate. Input variable is name. So there will be total 3 arguments. The first argument is input variable, second argument is new characters, third argument is old characters. Means wherever there is small a, replace with capital A. Syntax. Output variable equals to function name is translate of input variable, comma, first you have to mention new characters and the third one is old characters. Okay, put name 1. Wherever there is small a, we replace with capital A, right? You can also, let's say you wanted to replace name, comma, let me give a and let me give n. So wherever there is, okay, these are my two characters. I wanted to replace with a and n. What does this mean? Wherever there is small a, lowercase letter a, replace with uppercase letter a. Wherever there is lowercase letter n, replace with uppercase letter n. Okay. So you have Tendulkar, n is the upper, Sachin upper, right, and n is upper, right? Okay. String. Yeah. Next, how to replace words, right? That is next function. Which alphabets you wanted to replace with? In, only in. Only in you have to replace with capital, right? Okay. Only in. Only here in this case, these two, right? Only these two. So in that case, what you do is, let's say name 3 equals to substr of, okay, you'll extract, what is that? Fifth and sixth one, right? Fifth and sixth. So name, comma, 5, comma 2, okay. Let me write here, equals to in you wanted to replace with capital, right? Now let me execute this. You see the output. One sec. We didn't get anything, right? Sorry? Replace? Where? Where? No, I didn't replace. Name is there. I'm trying to replace in the name only. I am extracting these two. So actually,
So it is not translated, right?
yeah, I didn't translate. Let me. Let me. Equals to, or else we can. See, using translate function, we can do it for all the observations. But for single observation you wanted to do, you have to write. Let's say if name equals to Sachin Tendulkar, you have to write it particularly. If name equal to Sachin Tendulkar, then do. Then what you wanted to do, or then you can apply translate. Then translate of name. You can write here. Let's say you wanted to replace with in wherever there is in. So you have to execute. You have to write it in this fashion. I mean only in case of name equals to if name equals to Sachin Tendulkar, then only this function will apply. In rest of other cases, then you have to tell where. That's fine. It will take. Let's say let else name equals to name. Only if the name is Sachin Tendulkar, then we wanted to translate. For example, let me take you an example and explain. Data some name input name starts. Let's say Sachin. Create Sachin. Or next I'll give some IN. Okay, let I India something I have given. Okay, something some random name or something I have given. Forget about whatever role. Now we have a name. Here we have the data. See, even though here we have IN, right? But I don't want to do anything. I want to do only for this, right? Just simply use this. If name equals to Sachin Tendulkar, then only I wanted to translate. In other cases, I wanted to retain the same thing. I don't want to do anything. Name. Okay, let's go to name. Oh, 1 second. Whatever. Oh, okay. Syntax error. Then name equals. Got it? In Sachin, IN is capital, but in India, IN it didn't change. It remained as is. So if you want to do it particularly for one particular value, then you have to go with if conditions. Yes, Kalyan, you're asking something. This one, I want to treat, see, by default, what will happen is, it will treat these two as two different variable values. I want to treat this entire string as a single value, so I have to give ampersand format one. We'll talk about that later. Okay, you understood this, how to replace characters? Now how to replace words in a string using TRANWRD. There is a function called transword, means translate the word. Okay, lot of things to remember. Okay. Data underscore null underscore name equals to SRI RAM. Let's say. Now I want to replace SRI with SREE. Let's say you wanted to replace SRI with EE. Name 1 equals to SR SR. I'm sorry. Function name is tranword, TRANWRD. Now here, so what is the input variable? Name. Here the syntax is reverse of translate. First, in case of translate, first what we have given? New, right? Here we have to give old name followed by new name. Okay. In translate, first we have to give new followed by old, but here reverse. So old name is SRI, new name is SREE. Put name and name 1. Oh, what happened? Both are. Okay. Why it didn't execute? Can you tell me? See, I executed and it still it didn't execute. Why? Any guess? I mean, any no. Any other? Why I didn't get proper output here?
We wanted to see the output.
Sriram, Satish. Why we didn't get proper output?
The length is
The reason is whatever you put in quotes, it's case sensitive. Here S is capital. I have given small s. Why will it replace? It won't replace, right? If you use capital S, then it will replace. So in quotes, whatever data you have, it's case sensitive. Upcase and upcase, lowercase. Yeah, you can convert and you can apply. I mean, let me tell you. See, now it replaced. So let's say you don't, I mean, you forgot. So what you can do is, you can alternatively, let's say you don't want to take all this, let's say you don't know how the value is stored in data and you don't want to see, you don't want to, let's say you have millions of records and you don't want to open the data set, but you wanted to do that. So what you do is, okay, here either you can use upcase or lowercase, upcase of name, and here write SRI, you can do it in this way. And use upcase function on MR and I will compare with that. Okay?
Yeah. So if I have a thing like I am changing the only the first word.
Yeah, you tell me. First use scan function, extract the first word and replace it. Use if condition. Otherwise it will replace in the two Sri Sri. If you have Sri Sri Ram, wherever you have SRA, it will replace with SRE. So in that case, you have to count the number of words in that string, and if it is the first one, only apply the SRA for the first one. You stop. Okay. Because no, we have a lot of questions. Tomorrow almost it will take at least 1 hour one more hour. Because see all these functions whatever we discussed today, these are related to character variables. We can apply only on character variables. We have numeric functions. We have see actually I have all the codes, but I want you to see when I type you understand. See if you want me to little go ahead little fast, I can open the codes already. The previous batches whatever I have explained, I can open them when I can. So let me just see. We have numeric functions. We have character functions.
Character functions are we?
No. I have character. I think we have. I think we have a couple of functions. We have four to five functions left. So, anyways, we'll cover tomorrow. Don't want you. Don't want you to make things hectic. I don't want to make things complex for all of you because all are new to this batch. So, okay. I'll stop for the day. Satish. Okay. Satish, Sriram.
yeah.
Okay, I'll stop for the day. And tomorrow you will have session at 9 o'clock. I mean, guys who have attended today, guys who have already attended today, for them it's at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, because the other guys, I think 3 guys, they missed it. I think for them it will be same and I have to repeat it. But for you guys, we'll start at 9 o'clock and we'll continue till 12, 3 hours minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you practice install SAS software immediately as early as possible. Okay. Okay, chalo, bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.